We're on the internet. I love saying that.
We're on the internet right now.
Hello, internet.
We like to start off real professional around here.
There's
What's up?
in here, but we're on the internet.
Right. Yeah, right. No one ever gets right. We always feel like you can still kind of walk around naked for a couple minutes before people show up.
The first 2 minutes of the stream are my favorite before people get in here.
Yeah. I like the first 2 minutes after the stream.
When we all leave? Yeah,
That's what I like.
That's the best part.
Yeah, so as people start trickling in, what's up? It's Saturday. We're back. We said we were coming on Saturday to do a long hang and talk about drums. So here we are. We're going to do it. We're going to talk about the drums. We're going to do the hang. How's everyone doing today? It's not usually a Saturday. It's usually Tuesday night around here. So Saturday afternoon is a little different vibe. We got Joe.
What up?
We got Brad, who doesn't have a mic because things are a little different.
We got the room mic on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go. You can hear
It's
him.
over here.
And then we got Nick Larsen in the house today, who's gonna go through drums with us and change heads, tune.
Waving to the microphone.
Yeah, precisely.
Got him on there?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So we got the second.
We're all
round.
confused. It's good.
Right. Yeah, we keep it real confusing around here.
It's going to be a fun day.
But yeah, we're going to just talk about, Nick and I are both drum nerds. Both been playing our whole lives since we were young kids. We are good and bad influences on each other when it comes to purchasing things that show up on the internet that we think one of us should probably own. Yeah, so we've been talking about doing this for a while. It's funny how this all works out. We've been talking about doing this thing for a while just because we nerd out on this stuff. We talk about drum heads and different drums, and he sees something on Craigslist, I see something on Craigslist. We text each other about it. Often we finish each other's sentences. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to send you a link about, and he's like, oh, the black Gretsch drums, and then that stuff happens. But speaking of black Gretsch drums, so we have been talking about doing this thing for a while. We're going to rehead my Ludwig kit, the Gold Sparkle one, which if you've watched the show, you've seen. We've been talking about doing that. As we were getting ready to do that, this Gretsch drum set popped up on Craigslist. 1975-ish, we're thinking. I haven't totally dated it yet, but 1975 Gretsch drums. 13, 16, 18, 24. Kind of the sizes that I like. Showed up. I sent it to Nick. Nick had already seen it. We both kind of talked about one of us needs to buy this thing. It ended up being me. So
this time.
Yeah, this time it ended up being me. So.
Nick's turn next time.
Yeah, so we're gonna rehab some drums anyhow. And now we got a new drum set to rehab. So I'm getting messages. I'll turn that off.
Dylan, I don't want to fuck up his last name. Marchus.
Just call him. It's Derek Marchus.
Got it.
We fuck it up on purpose all the time.
Shit, I'm trying to
Am I coming? Yeah, throw me back
You're
then.
used to being
Right. Oh, it's because it was a different mic.
Anyway.
Yeah. Inquiring minds want to know if you have a flat top or a crew cut.
Yes.
Correct. That is correct.
Yes, correct.
Fun day.
Good answer. Yeah, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna rehab these drums. I bought the Gretsch drums yesterday. I cleaned them all up and got all the gunk and dirt off of them, and took all the rims off, heads off. They're totally down to the shelves, and we're gonna just dive into
Set them up.
Yeah, setting them up. Right. Yeah, or just anything, general setup. But yeah, like if you were gonna go into a studio, if you were going to go through buying all new drum heads and doing the thing, then this would be a great tips on how to put that new stuff on there. Or if you're like a guy like me and you just bought a drum set and you want to take some of the heads on these drums were on these drums since 1975, literally. But take it all off, polish it all out. I did that stuff last night. We're not going to bore you with that, and you guys all know how to clean stuff.
In theory.
Yeah, more or less. And if you don't, then you should have paid more attention when Mama was talking to you. But anyway, yeah, we cleaned them up, and we're going to just start putting drum heads on them. So I'm going to jump over to the back of the room. We got Nick back there.
Make sure you tell Dylan to wash his ponytail, though. Okay?
Yeah, I can smell that ponytail from here.
Didn't you mean Derek?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Darren.
Darren. It's Darren now.
That's right, Darren.
It's Doyle next time.
But yeah, if anyone's got any questions about, life, Nick, drums,
Yeah,
flat
please
tops,
ask questions because nobody wants to watch me
Darren,
put shit on all day.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump back
be
there.
surprised, man.
We're gonna grab the bass drum and just kind of start doing the thing. So, rock and roll drum day. Noise below.
I still feel like there needs to be some Easy E or something on in the
I'll
background.
put some on. Don't worry.
Yeah. Celine Dion.
I probably will. Yeah.
I killed this one. I just muted it at
Yeah,
the
perfect.
Mackie.
I'll probably mute this one to be honest.
You can mute it at the Mackie.
So are you like the Vanna White here, and you're bringing stuff to me?
Whatever. We can just do it however.
What are we
you
doing?
want.
Start with this kick drum?
I think we should start with the kick drum. Right. So right, it's all zeroed out. You got heads right there.
Got heads.
The lugs. The hoops are over there. We'll grab those too. We gotta get new hoops for this thing.
Yeah. So this thing, as Tap was saying, is best we know in 1975, and the dude was the original owner, and managed to not destroy him, even though he rolled him around in the back of this Impala.
Yeah, he told me. He was
That's
like,
the
I went
story.
out and played a lot of gigs with these things in the late 70s and 80s, and I never had cases, but they fit in the Impala pretty well. Like, all right.
Which is amazing because if you can see anything in the stream, these things are in excellent shape.
Not bad. Yep.
Yeah, I've seen way newer stuff look way shittier than this.
Right.
And interestingly enough, too, we were looking to go straight into the nerd hole. So the bass drums on a lot of these are thicker, and the 18-inch floor tom is the same thickness as this, which would mean that probably would have been for a bop kit.
Oh,
Because a lot of Gretsch guys are playing 18s. That was the whole deal.
right. Yeah, right.
And as we were talking about the hoops, this kit ironically has metal hoops, which is maybe not preferable. I've never done a A/B comparison ear-wise, but I know generally speaking, you want wood hoops on a bass drum because even maybe just the aesthetic part.
Yeah, right. We're kind of bummed on the metal hoops. I probably will order some wood hoops for this kit, but we got the original ones for now. We're going to use them.
So I already looked at this shit earlier, and best I can tell without using a granite slab, the edges look flat. Some Gretsch stuff, like a lot of stuff from the 1970s, 60s, 50s, even 80s, sucks. You'll see lumps and shit. I haven't seen any of that in this, so maybe you got one that was made on a Wednesday.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it feels, I did the same thing.
It looks legit.
I don't have a super flat surface to be able, that's the only way to really look, right? See if you can see any light on a
Yeah, you put a light in it,
perfectly
and then you
flat
look underneath.
surface. We don't really have that, but yeah, they feel pretty good. They don't feel wavy. They don't look bad.
No, and I was also mentioning this has a normal 30-degree edge on it, like most Gretsch shit does, but those toms, that makes me think those shells are from the 60s,
Right.
the round badge era stuff, because Gretsch, like Ludwig, kind of did whatever the hell they wanted to do whenever they wanted to do it.
I believe it, right.
Just to get shit out
Order
the door.
a lot of shells and have them on the shelves for
Right.
years and just use them until they were gone and then order more.
There was a black Cortex kit like this at Ellis in the mid-2000s that was a 13-16-26, and it was, I think they called them vineyard kits, where they had shells sitting in a warehouse from the 60s.
Oh, sure. Right,
So
right.
who the hell really knows? These could have already been 20 years
Yeah,
old.
right. It could have been a story. But yeah, original owner. It's pretty cool that like I'm the second owner of these drums from 1975.
It's super rad. So first trick or test I always do is see if you can spin it. It's tight on here. Part of that's probably because the wrap comes up to the edge, but it's not jump up and down on it. So if you're gonna have problems tuning, that's a good way to know right out of the gate where you're sitting.
Right, and if it doesn't spin your way out around, most likely.
Correct.
Yep.
Which one of these? Was there a specific one marked up?
Couldn't really tell actually. I mean, they both look pretty equally clean. I don't see like a bass drum pedal
Unbelievable.
spot really, you know.
And I actually bought it's called Bass Drum Protect. It's a little vinyl thing that slips on here.
Oh yeah.
I
I've
picked
seen
it up
those,
at
right.
Twin Cities Drum Collective
Yep.
plug
Yeah, nice.
yesterday.
I thought about getting something, but because we're probably going to put some different hoops on, I didn't
Right.
want to put something on
But
this.
the thing is, it literally just slips on and then you pull it off and you put it on another drum.
Right,
It's
that's
slick
nice.
as shit.
Right.
So can I get off of this thing now?
You can do whatever you want, Nick.
Okay. Me and my crew cut.
Right.
Fucking dick.
Sergeant Larsen.
Sergeant Sticks.
Sergeant Sticks.
So this is the really exciting part of putting these all on.
Yeah, right.
You can help.
This is the fun part. No, I can't. I gotta just watch.
He's hosting.
Yeah, I'm hosting.
Oh, okay. Well, let
You
me
can't be
let you-
interrupted with these tasks. I'm
Host
trying
some
to host
help.
a fucking show here.
Another thing that you may want to do is get two T-rods straight ones for this.
Oh yeah, for where the pedal goes.
Yeah.
Because pedal never wants to go around the.
That, and then you're sitting on the floor and shit can get weird there too.
Right. That does seem to be an issue. So now that I have these Gretsch drums and a Ludwig kit, like they obviously excel at different things. Like how should I be using these? You know what I mean?
So every studio guy and a lot of musicians know about the Gretsch Magic, and the Gretsch Magic exists because it's kind of a sum of all their parts, where they were using whatever they could use, and none of the things alone are good, but all of them together made a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The toms have die-cast tubes on them, which is a huge deal.
Right.
So you can tune them really low, and they feel like it just contains the sound and pushes the sound through the drum. I spent my whole life hating die-cast hoops because I was told to.
Right.
And then I got a Gretsch kit and recorded it and used it on the Exactly No record and was like, okay, I guess I should figure that shit out and start messing around with it.
It is a different thing.
So these, compared to like your Ludwigs, are 3-ply with a re-ring. They call them tubby Luddies for a reason. Like they have a certain thing that they do, and they're not super versatile. Where these, you could go super low, you could go super high, you could go super live, you could go super dead.
Got it.
Tuning them's a little easier because you're dealing with a more defined edge. The old Ludwig's shit, or any of those re-ring shells from that era, were designed for calf drum heads. So they're taking technology from the 30s and 40s, and where you would actually crank the shit out of the head and form a bearing edge on the head.
Seal because it's natural, right?
Right. Where with doing that on those drums with the rounded edge, you don't have as much sustain. You get a more shell sound, which is good if that's what you're after. It's just kind of a whole different animal. On this thing. So usually what I'll do on a kick drum is get them all on, like we kind of did, and then go around and finger tighten them till they make contact.
Right.
Some drums you'll be fully seated. Other drums you'll be still have room to go. I always try to watch the head and look for wrinkles and see what's going on right out of the gate.
Yep.
These metal hoops are different, and looking at this, it's on the far outside of the collar, so it might get a little goofy.
They look like they're a little big, right? Like they're way outside.
Sometimes I'll just try to see if the head's hung up. Again, go around, make sure everything is finger tight so the tension's the same. And then I'll put my finger in the middle and even push and give, on a kick drum, a bigger drum like this, I'll do a half a turn. And start going like you're putting a wheel on a car. Opposite sides. So, what is this? 12, 6?
Yeah.
10, 9, something like
See, don't do that.
13.
I've done this so many times in my life, I don't think about it anymore. So when I actually have to think about it, it's different. But always trying to go across.
Yeah, right.
Star pattern.
Star pattern,
right.
correct.
Like a lug nuts.
Fuck a clock.
Like a clock.
Right.
Or fuck a clock.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get them all so they feel like they're at the same tension. There's all these devices out there that tell you, well, this is at 180, this is at 120, this is at... Yeah. That's cool, but that doesn't mean it's in tune, and it doesn't mean it sounds good.
I gave Joe a lot of heat a couple years back when he bought this thing that's
I know what you're
about
already
20
talking.
inches around. It looks like a pizza platter, and you put these keys in.
Oh, this thing?
Yeah, you put the keys in, and then crank it, and I just, like, he's like, this thing does, and I just was like, get that thing out.
Here's the thing, though. For a guy like...
Pizza thing. Is that on?
Yeah, I turn it on. Never, like, like, learning to be a drummer and tuning drums.
Sure.
That helped me get even tension just to a starting place. That's what
I
that
agree.
does for me.
I get it, right. But those things are just cute.
My challenge with a lot of that shit is it ends up being a crutch.
Right.
And, like, people don't actually spend the time trying to figure it out.
What about, like, a drum dial?
Same concept.
Same thing,
like, I guess...
I've never had one.
If you want to get to where you're at, like, if you want to always be at the same spot and you can't or don't have the ear training to get there, that'll get you there. But, again, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to sound good at that tension.
And a lot of those things are implying or thinking that the drum is perfectly round and everything.
Right, or that the head's perfectly...
The lugs were started at a perfect finger tension to then crank something, or like it has to have a 0 point.
And I've seen plenty of mass-produced drums. Take a Ludwig Superphonic, and you can put 3 of them tuned brand new next to each other. One of them's good, one of them's awesome, and one of them sounds like shit.
Yeah, sure, right.
Like, there's always variables, even in the same drums, even in mass-produced or non-mass-produced new stuff.
Yeah, right. That makes sense.
So, on this, I always try to, on all drums, keep a little tension in the middle because it keeps the head centered on the drum as I'm going around. I can already tell just from experience that this thing's going to be a little goofy because this metal hoop is a little oversized.
It looks big. I can see it from here, yeah.
But, again, this going around, the cracking is not bad with Remo because that's just the epoxy breaking loose from the metal hoop. It's part of the deal. And actually, it seems weird when I use other heads and that doesn't happen.
Yeah, right. I've seen a lot of guys literally like take a new head out of the package, and go around and just like finger crack the glue. I don't know if that does something or not. Or I'm sure it happens in this process anyway. I see a lot of people do that.
So we're starting to get some tension. I can see a little bit of wrinkles. Still no note to the head. And we're dealing with the 24, which is as Tap would. I was just gonna say, as Tap would say, is a man-sized bass drum.
A man-sized drum right there.
Most guys in the world are dealing with 22s, maybe even 20s in the rock pop world.
Right.
And what I learned after doing it wrong for a couple years of playing a 24 was you go higher than you think you want to. Because if you want to hear a note, if it's too low, it's just subsonic, and then you don't have any good feedback from the drum.
Right.
And I did a comparison once to a 22 I have and a 24, and the note that they were at was almost exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm always surprised. 22s actually sound and feel really good. Because
They're way easier.
I think you want to get this big 24 thing or whatever, but 22 is punchy, right?
So I'm going around now and just adding quarter turns and trying to get, I can hear some of the flub out and get this thing. If I push in the middle, I can see wrinkles all over the place, which means I'm not close to tension. And also this hoop is big.
I can tell, yeah. Huge. It also looks like the original Gretsch had a pretty big lip on it, right? Compared to what maybe.
Now? Well, those were just heads that Remo was making for them. Does anybody else have any questions about haircuts or anything yet?
Not yet.
A Saturday haircut special?
So we got a little wrinklage, which means we got something.
Yep.
We got people in and out. People been
Saturday.
checking, yeah.
Saturday drum day.
People are hanging.
This is also interesting, doing this on drums that you've never done anything on before.
Yeah, right. Just brand new.
You don't know it.
Right.
Be no different than showing up to a session as a tech.
So as you're tightening up, you're going around at this point.
I try to get it even so it's seated on the drum, and now I can feel from this and this what's tight and what's not. Like, the tensions are all relatively the same. That one was loose. So I'm trying to get those all even as I'm going around and getting the wrinkles out. Mm-hmm. Some guys swear by the whole time you go this way, and other guys will just go in a circle. It's like, I don't really think as long as you keep it even, it makes that big of a difference. Right. At least in my experience.
The hardest part about anything in music, man, is like there's guidelines, but like no rules.
There is, and that's the whole thing. Like, there's no right or wrong way. The only things that I'm talking about are the ways that I've found that it works for me.
Sure.
But now we're starting to get a note, and I'm starting to see wrinkles go away. On a kick drum, wrinkles aren't always bad, but I want to at least get it to a point where you're starting to hear a tone.
Some of that rattle goes away.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean,
still plenty low.
And I will forever like bass drums with T-rods like this versus using a key.
Yeah, I don't mind the T.
It's gotta make your life
And it
a lot
looks
easier.
cool better. Or it looks cool
It
better.
does
It
look
looks
kinda
cool
cool.
better.
It looks cool better.
I agree.
Yep.
Well said.
Yep. Very well said.
I'm learning over here.
That's high. So now I'm going to do what everybody's like, you can't do that. You're going to break that.
I've seen guys stand on drums. You're not going to break it.
No. And if you do, it was going to fucking break anyway.
Right. Oh, Nick sits on it.
I was just waiting for him to fluke right into it.
No, and usually you'll hear it drop.
Falls through the basement floor.
Yeah.
Whoa! I didn't even know you
Looney
could do
Tunes.
that.
had them chips, bro.
So yeah, I mean, it's no different than you see a guitar player put strings on and pull the shit out of them. I mean,
Stretch
do
them
the
out,
same
bring 'em
things.
up,
So now I'm
stretch it
trying.
out, bring it up.
Yeah, keep doing it because if you don't do it now,
Right, as soon as you start playing it, it's gonna start dropping on you.
Your guitar string will break, though. So
eventually,
You can't sit on your guitar strings.
no, or knock your guitar.
Right,
Maybe
yeah.
don't sit on that.
Maybe not.
And if I was doing this for a big session, I would do
What
all
are you
this
trying to say, dude?
for a real session.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
jeez.
real session, not a big
Well, thanks for coming by, everybody.
I think your ride's
We're gonna
here.
cut this
Yeah,
real
right.
quick, and we're out.
I think your ride's here. I drove. Well, whatever.
Your car's running. If I was doing this, I would bring them all up to tension and let them sit overnight.
Oh, sure.
Because I've tuned an entire kit and then woken up the next day and had shit drop.
Yeah, I've often
down.
told people that, like, don't bring your drum heads in and do it, A, at the studio,
No.
because, A, you're on the clock at the studio.
Right.
And B, yeah, put them on the night before and let them, tune them up, get them in pitch, let them sit. Now, I know some dudes, and I don't know, but I know some dudes who will put a drum head on and crank it way up.
Yeah. Well, this
And
is,
then let it sit like that and then bring it back down.
usually what I'll do, I'll bring them, I won't go too high because I feel like telling people to do that, they'll over tighten them.
Stretch it out.
And then you can't come back.
You can't tune the low note back or
Right.
whatever.
You'll
You gotta
overdo it
stay
if
up.
you don't know what that is.
Right.
Because if I went this high on a small tom, I'd be up in bop territory and you're not going to get a rock
Right.
tone out of that.
Too
or a
stretched
loader.
then.
Right.
Right.
What I will usually do though, if I'm doing a kit like this, is I'll do this drum, let this sit, then I'll do the next one.
Sure.
At least give them
Sure.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because even in that vein, I've had shit. You tune it up, you play it, and you let it sit for 3 days, and then you retune it, and now it takes a couple of days for the heads to settle in.
Yeah. Makes
Seems
sense.
stupid, but
Right. Makes sense.
We need like another drum set, like a cooking show, so we can be like, okay, we've got one over here
Right.
that's already been sitting.
Right.
the edit.
This one's been simmering for hours.
All right, we're gonna leave that there for now. And we're gonna do this.
Right, we know we're going to be getting a pretty dead sound because we got this Ovaltine bass drum head.
Which is freaking awesome. Do you have felt strip?
Oh, felt strip. Let me
See if
look.
you can find
Let
one.
me look. I might.
So we're gonna maybe throw a felt strip behind this because even though you got a 12-inch-ish hole cut out of this thing, there's still gonna be some resonance and slap going on in there.
How snug will you get with that?
This,
Yeah.
I will go, usually with a kick drum, I will start at the bottom. And then I'll start to bring it up. On this, on the reso side, I'll match the batter. And then I'll listen to it and be like, okay, I need a little more attack. So then I'll bring it up. Mm-hmm. Or I'll keep going from there. And I try to do a lot of that shit by ear.
If I still have one, it's in the garage. I can go get it, though.
Go see if you got it.
All right.
Yeah, just real quick. No, I'll try to match it. And it also depends. I mean, you got half the head gone, so it doesn't have as big of an impact. Mm-hmm. But I was telling Tap, I remember being in high school and running a single-headed bass drum and then putting a head like this on it, and you do get some sustain out of it.
Right.
Surprisingly.
I've that's kind of a whole thing, like, you especially, I'm not a drummer, right? Like, I can play drums, but I'm not a drummer.
Right.
And so I'm on YouTube or whatever trying to figure it out and learn how to do this stuff. And it's like everybody will spend a lot of time on your batter heads and like what you should do with those. And then you get to resin heads and everyone's going to like, see ya. Yeah. And move on from that stuff. And it's
Which is dead fucking wrong.
I'm saying.
Because the resonant head, if you look at the word,
yeah.
And that has direct effect over how the batter sounds and plays and feels. Mm-hmm. Like on toms and stuff. Like, oh, this is too dead. I bet if you brought the reso up. And same thing with replacing heads. Guys always replace the batters because those are the ones they see, those are the ones they hit.
Right.
But the resos wear out just as much because they're doing this thing. And even Tap, we were talking about his gold kit. He's like, well, I've had those coated ambassadors on the bottoms. We'll just put those on the top. I'm like, if they've been on there for 2 years, they're probably shot. I mean, they're probably okay, but if you're going to do it, spend $30 on the heads and put new ones on.
And do it right.
Right.
Yeah. What's, like, do you have an idea when you sit down? I mean, okay, so this is a drum set you don't know.
Right.
Right? So do you have an idea of, like, kind of a pitch or general kind of pitch note where you kind of want it to land? Or are you going to put the tension up, see how it takes the tension, and then find your note from there?
My bass point for everything is to start as low as the drum wants to go while having a clean tone.
Right.
And then from there, I'll usually bring them up and then try to apply it to whatever. Nice. Try to apply it to.
Might be a little short.
You know, is it for me? Is it for us? How does it fit in the song? Is it for the artist?
Point, it's just for
What's the application?
Right.
Because again, you know, if you're trying to do a tight little pop song, you may not want a huge. Well, you probably don't want a huge wide open sound. Mm-hmm. And I've actually spent my whole life always being the wide open loud guy, and I've kind of started going the other direction now. Just A, for something different to do, and B, it seems like a lot of shit is kind of in that place right now.
Right.
That's what people want to hear. I think a lot of it's because people aren't using big rooms. They're doing stuff in their basement, and it's hard to get
Big
that
sounds
sort of.
without some height.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you hear me telling him? Nick's schooling me, teaching me about drums all the time.
Good.
He was asking good questions.
Good.
Brad hasn't had any. I'm a little disappointed.
I know. Brad's chill, dude. He already knows how to do all this stuff.
Right.
That's the thing about Brad.
He was kind of surprised.
He keeps it low key and
we were
doesn't
bringing
want to
someone
brag.
else in to do it.
True.
I get it.
Yeah.
Now if you just stop playing that guitar solo over and over again. Oh, wait, that was you.
That was me.
See, like, look at the way this hoop sits on this ring. A little bit better, right?
Yeah.
Just slightly better, like it was a bigger ring back there.
Could have been.
We're going to get some new hoops. For sure.
And that'll make a big damn difference.
Yeah.
Hey, there's some of those there you can.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I'm supposed to help.
Your face when you said it, you're like, I'm supposed to help.
So Dunbar was asking about the reso and what do you do tuning-wise with that. I'm going to ask you what you usually do. Or what's your experience been on that?
There's a couple different, I don't know. It depends on what I'm going for. I've recently been finding more and more that in the studio, or especially in this studio.
Dog joy.
That's hilarious.
You couldn't have planned
It's
that
like
shit.
some kind of Dunbar segment. Oh, Dunbar's got another funny topic.
Hey, guys!
Speak. Now, I've been finding out lately.
Is it
around
already
here-
that time
You're right.
again?
Yeah, right. It's Wacky Weirdo time with Joe.
Take off my Saturday
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
in the studio.
I recently discovered after I was doing a session out in Connecticut with Evan, and we put this really pretty raggedy old front head on, and really left it pretty long and baggy, and kind of like in the room it kind of sounded like you should put a pillow on that or do something because it was a little long and weird. But under a microphone, it really gave the note some cool length and like took the bass drum from just being this like thump to like I don't know, it had this after rattle. It had a longer note. It was the best way to explain it. So I've been kind of starting to rethink that lately. But on this drum set, I'm not sure because we got this giant hole already cut in here.
Right.
So we know we're going to get a pretty dry sound out of that. Plus we also, we're going to be putting the black dot heads on the toms. So those are kind of dry in a way, right? Just
Little bit.
naturally. So I'm assuming that this will...
I'm just being anal about
sure.
lining up the logo.
I'm assuming that this will just also be kind of a dry sounding thing. I don't know how much note we're going to get out of this.
Well, I was telling Dunbar,
70s
like,
head. We'll see.
I shared the story with you, too, of being in high school and putting a head like this on a bass drum that had no head.
Right.
And being like, wow, there's actually some sustain there.
Sure, yeah.
It's still got some shit moving.
Yeah, right.
It's still
It'll do
kicking a
something.
little bit back.
Yep. It changes the way the air flows for sure. So
You know, and some of the best kick tones I've ever personally gotten were in the terrarium using a 60s Ludwig 3-ply with the original batter head on it and a down pillow.
yeah.
And then building a tunnel.
Right.
Because you get, that build up a low end.
Yep.
So again, I'm doing the same thing here. Not really much of a head to push on, and this thing's 40 whatever years old.
Right.
So
it has a spot
it's-
it wants
it's
to be.
seated.
It was pretty high pitched when I pulled it off of here.
I'll usually with the reso, because a lot of times resos with certain manufacturers are thinner. I'm just trying to get it even, and then we'll mess with it more later.
So with the power stroke with this giant oval, Now with a felt strip, what would you recommend we're going to end up putting in that thing? Or obviously there'll probably be a couple different options as far as dampening.
Well, I brought an Evans. I like these. I use these for forever.
Oh right, just the old EQ pillow.
Yeah, they're hinged,
guy.
so it's like It's like a gate. It swings open, and then if I'm in the studio, I'll have this on the batter side. In the studio, I'll put a rolled up towel on the reso side, just to kill that.
Right.
I also got this behemoth.
Oh yeah, the weighted thing.
Weighted pillow, which is slick. My buddy bought this for me. He's like, you need to try that out. And he had a 22-inch Gretsch that had this in it, and it was probably the best sounding and feeling kick drum that I've ever had. I
think as time allows too, maybe we'll do a thing where we'll get you playing a little bit, record,
Yeah.
We'll pick a little pattern or something.
Yeah, let's keep it
record
simple.
a little bit with, that pillow and then swap them out and record a little bit with the other one so we can actually listen back and just like directly A/B
For sure.
and go like, oh wow, seems like this is what that does,
It'd be
So-
tough getting stuff in and out of that kick drum, though.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what you're
right.
going to do with that little 5-inch porthole.
Right. Usually you're fishing through a little ice fishing hole, but now we got like the whole lake open. Right?
We've been on the ice
Yes.
fishing
You know what I'm
tip
saying,
down
guys?
there,
Come on.
It's been cold here. Leave us alone.
It is cold, right?
I'm going to set this over here, and then we're going to grab that 18.
Oh yeah, we're going straight to the big
Because
boy?
we're going to go through and put all these heads on,
I love it.
and then we'll go back and tune.
I love it.
Because if they can sit there, that's not bad. It's pretty straight, including the felt strip.
Looks good, dude.
I am the king of getting the felt strip straight.
I
It's
did
kind of my
notice
thing.
the logo seems a little off. So we fucked that one up. But
I'm sorry? And you are?
Dunzo, I had a session earlier.
Why is this kid talking to me? Tap! Why is he talking to me?
Hold on, this is why you don't know who I am.
Right.
Yeah, see, now it's not funny because it
right.
doesn't work.
Oh, wait, I know.
Or maybe it is funny because it doesn't work.
I
That
just
is
have
why
to.
it is
I have to stumble across it.
It's Wacky Joe Dunbar team.
Yeah, we need a name for that segment. Maybe the people have a name for it. Some people are loving the topic here.
So interestingly, yeah, the edges on these toms are round, which was, I'm not a Gretsch aficionado, but
Well, why not?
Wait a minute, what?
Right, why did we bring you in?
well,
Brad, we
fine.
need your
You
help.
finish.
I was told this was an expert.
In this room.
I know enough, but it's interesting that they're rounded. I would not have expected that because I've seen other ones that are 3 years newer than this that have
Right.
sharper edge, like the bass drum.
Right.
Again, there's no rhyme or reason. That's why half this old shit, when you find it, it's kind of cool because you don't really know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Or
And
you
there
were
are
saying-
some good Gretsch nerds out there who could answer all these questions straight.
Oh yeah, and I know a buddy that he's that guy. He knows everything about all that shit.
Right.
And
Well, now that you've seen them, you can ask.
Yeah.
Now you've seen these. This is the first drum set I've ever had that has top and bottom mufflers.
yes,
Never had that.
and these
on
are pretty
anything.
sweet if you can see because the old Ludwig ones had a single cymbal felt that
Right,
always
circle.
rattled around, and they had a little piece of leather in between them,
Yep.
so that shit would dry out.
Right.
These are actually
Yeah, they look pretty cool, and I think they could be useful because I was saying earlier, like I've often in the studio, we find ourselves tucking a little something, taking a kick pillow or something, and standing it up on its side and just touching the bottom of a floor tom head.
Yep, just to take a little bit of that
Yeah.
sustain out.
So to actually have it in the drum, like
Well, and ironically, people will bark and say, well, that shit makes noise, or what do I need mufflers for? I don't use that stuff, and then they'll put 15 moon gels on there.
yeah, right.
Which
It's
is the same,
it's the original
same
moon
concept.
gel, and you can reuse it and adjust it.
Right, it's with you all the time,
Right.
and you can adjust it to the room.
Right. Yeah, unless they really rattle, unless there's a problem, I'm planning on keeping them in there. I think they're cool.
Well, and I don't
this
think
is a studio
it's
kit.
it's
so-
hard to tell. I mean, because you get all this stuff.
Yeah, right.
But I don't think there's anything. If you're doing this,
I don't think so either.
I don't think there's
This
anything
seems fun.
going on. All right, what we got here?
Yeah,
This
we
is
got
the
a
top.
pile of drum heads here. Where are we? We're on the bottom right now.
So another nerdery thing with heads, especially tom heads and snare heads. I guess I don't really do it on a kick as much. I will always line the logos up with the badge, and then I will always put the date, the month and the year that the heads went on,
I
because
like
you'd
that.
be shocked by how fast shit gets old.
I like that. We'll get a Sharpie and we'll do that.
That's cool.
If you're really nerdy, you use a silver Sharpie because you can't see it as much from far away.
Don't have a silver.
And anybody that
down
knows me would not be surprised by that at all.
here. I don't know. We might have a silver down here.
So like
We
this
somehow
drum,
managed to get all these heads in town, in stock.
Yes.
It took 3 shops to do it
Right.
between me and Nick. But
two
we
of them
got-
that are going out of business.
Right, but we were able to. Oh, look at that! Tour supply silver Sharpie, only the finest around here. Just saying. Just, I
Another
wonder,
plug.
wonder what kind of professional musician would have come across this. Oh, me. It's the
Is that
me
what you're
show.
calling yourself?
Me,
This is what
me,
you color
me,
your hair
me,
in with
me,
now,
me.
too?
Yeah. All right. You got me on that one. You did get me on
Nick
that.
Larsen has entered the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Be
What do you
careful.
want? You want a hoop?
Yeah.
I don't remember
So
which was
this
top
drum
and which
is
was
interesting, and this is just a point to note. Like, this is tight, not uncommon for stuff of this era,
bottom.
especially
Again, like you said, the wrap goes way down.
right,
You can see
and
it.
especially
Right.
not uncommon for Gretsch. All that means is we're probably going to have to overtension the shit out of this, and it may not go as low as you think it is. But again, you find the spot that the drum wants to be in,
Right.
and if you don't like it, then don't use that drum.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see how she goes. But another big difference between the Ludwig and the Gretsch is that thing right there.
Die-cast hoops.
That is a heavy hoop. This
Yes.
is a heavy drum.
It makes a huge difference, and ironically, thankfully, this is only a 3-leg because a lot of 18-inch
Had four.
Gretsch
Right.
have 4.
Yeah, I know. I was happy to see it didn't
And
have
that
4.
shit's
That's weird.
heavy. If you actually have the Gretsch legs, they're the big, beefy
Oh, right.
metal ones.
Speaking of legs, I should change out those feet.
That's another point to bring up.
Yeah, I should change out those feet, and we can talk about that while we're lugging.
Sincere question from, again, not like a drummer, but
No,
like,
ask away.
how-
I get sick of hearing myself talk.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. What? Sorry, what?
No, but like going into the studio, right? I mean, is there something to be said of like, I've always heard of people talk about like tuning drums to the pitch of a song or something like that. Or are you guys really just like, oh, let's get the drum sounding the way it wants to sound?
There is drums do seem to have a spot they like.
Right.
I agree with that
Well,
specifically.
aren't they not made like with a? I mean, do they not test
Well,
them with a certain
DW will say they tune the shell, or they tell you
Make
the
the
note of the
shell,
shell. I don't
right.
think they tune it. They tell you the
No.
note. I mean, you can.
They do tell you, this is interesting because I've watched some videos on that, and they do that test to a raw shell, but then you add all the hardware and shit to it, and it changes the match.
Sure, of course it will.
And
right.
they did a test on it, if I remember this correctly. When it was all said and done, they actually tuned the drum, and they went up and down, and the note that it sounded the most resonant at actually ended up
Shifted?
being that note.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that that's the note you want to hear.
For sure.
And
sure.
it, you know, if it's the most resonant, well, what does that mean?
Yeah,
too,
it's tricky.
you know?
I believe that the shell does have a note. You can tap on
Absolutely.
it, you can hear it, therefore you can stamp it. I think that the drum has a sweet spot it likes to be in.
That may or may not be. That
May or may
note.
not be that note, depending on the head or whatever. I also think that that sweet spot can wildly change with the room you're in.
100%.
Sure.
Perfect
Well,
example
yeah.
is this room, and
Right.
having tracked here a couple
Right.
times, I brought a drum in tuned low, and what I thought was dead, set it up in this corner, and was like, holy shit, this is way too high and super live.
It was totally different,
Man.
right? Yeah.
It's funny you
the
say
airspace
that.
changes things big time.
It does. I mean, even doing some drum tracks back to like original Jonah demos and stuff. I remember being like, we in the room. I'm like, that kick drum sounds like shit, man.
That's what I
you
was
put
saying,
on
right,
the
the
headphones or something, you
rattly
hear it
front
back,
head,
and you're
right.
like, wow, that sounds great.
That's been the hardest thing as an
Mm-hmm.
adult to learn that. Like, it may sound like dog shit when you're playing it, but that doesn't matter.
Right.
Right.
How is it
Whatever's
coming across there?
Whatever's coming out of the speakers when you're in the studio is what we're
That's what's true.
after.
Nice.
So we found with original Ludwig, my Ludwig kit, and vintage drums in general, we got the original floor tom legs. They just come with this like very basic rubber foot. Usually they're usually missing.
Right.
These are still here. They are starting to dry rot and they're starting to crack or whatever. But Pearl makes a leg and or a foot that has like this essentially isolation factor to it with the way it connects, or kind of, I don't know, the way it
doesn't,
floats.
yeah, all the resonance doesn't go through the legs and then
Right.
go to the floor.
And it is shocking what this change does to drums.
Yep.
Like my 16-inch Ludwig, when I first got it, I was like, man, I love this drum set, but my floor tom sucks. And Nick was like, dude, just try throwing like modern legs on, or even putting foam under the feet on the original legs or whatever, just to
disconnect
see.
it.
And I immediately went out and bought feet like this for all the legs I had,
Right.
because it was like, whoa, game changer. So yeah.
Those are hugely great.
Right.
I think these legs are 10.5 millimeter, so those Pearl ones work. The bigger ones, I know
these
Gibraltar
slide right
makes
on.
some. DW has like a leg that has a 90 degree in it. Those
Oh,
are
sure.
overly efficient to the point where
Where
I
are they
usually end
from?
up, if I'm working with one of those, turning the leg the other way and putting one leg straight to the floor,
sure.
because it'll just keep
Yeah,
going and
he's
going
got
and
plenty,
going.
right.
Too much.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, So you get quite a bit of isolation, but yeah, these are a huge difference.
Yeah, otherwise the foam thing you were talking about, booty shakers, they make like the little round pucks.
Yeah, oh, sure.
Which are cool, but
Right.
this is easier and you can take it with you.
And it's
Just on the drum.
and it's just
Right.
there now, right?
On the leg, rather.
Another thing I might want to get from at some point that is something I've really only seen you use, other than the dudes I've seen you hip to it, is the ring for your 13-inch tom. You got like that ring.
Oh,
that clips on
the flex
mount-
frame.
Flex frame, right?
Yeah, that's
So like a lot of dudes, like myself, like Nick, like to put their rack tom in a snare drum stand, just because aesthetically it's cool. B,
which is the most important
yeah,
thing
it's
to
just
start
like
with.
it just looks more vintagey or whatever. It looks cooler than, in the '90s everyone started hanging toms off of cymbal stands, or you could have the original old school like out of the bass drum thing. But a lot of people like the look of in a snare stand. However, usually in a snare stand, and especially if it's just a regular snare stand, it makes your rack tom sound like shit because
Yeah,
it just couples
same-
to the snare stand.
Same concept.
It kills the bottom head. It doesn't work. DW makes a special stand, which I have, that has like kind of these little neoprene inserts that help. But now there's companies that make, what's the ring called again?
Flex frame. That's
Flex
actually
frame, right.
Gauger Percussion, which was the guy that invented rims mounts.
Oh, okay, there you go. And rims were, the first thing that kind of came out to
Changed
Are
decouple.
the
you
word.
talking about like it's basically like the hat like?
So
like a lug mount?
the rims mount is like the chrome bracket that would go
Yeah,
halfway
that's what
around
I'm
a rack
thinking.
top.
Right.
This goes on the entire
It's a
bottom.
little skinny circle that's the size of the drum. It just has these clips that clip onto the rim.
They
now you
actually
have this
go under all the
thin
tension
circle.
rods.
And
Right.
that's what sits in the stand.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
And you can clamp the stand tight so you don't have to be loose and try
Without clamping the drum.
to, doesn't touch the
and
drum.
it
at all.
vanishes from like 5 feet away. You can't tell it's there.
Yeah.
And they
it's
work
super
great
cool.
until Nathan rolls your rack tom down the fucking alley in
yeah.
Florida,
Yeah.
and then you almost kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, those are awesome. And it's like I would get that, put that on the Gretsch drum, and still put that in the DW stand with the decoupler for just like, so that thing is floating,
Yeah, those are super effective.
But yeah,
And they still, then too, if you want to use an old school flat bass stand or something, you don't have to have this 35-pound DW.
Right.
Because that's cool, but it's
Right.
also really
Right,
heavy.
you could use a vintage stand, you could do whatever aesthetic you want, but you still actually get the benefit of being totally decoupled now. And it's crazy, man, between the rack tom thing and like these feet, it's worth a shot. Because I've seen so many people in studios take their rack tom, which is about to go in a snare stand, and have it either on the floor or in their lap and tune it up or hold it up, and they got it sounding great. Listen to this thing, it sounds awesome, cool. Put it on the stand, all right, here we go. And it's like, oh, how's it sound now? Like, well, I just tuned it, it's good. It's like, everything
It's-
just changed. It went from
It's
long
huge.
and awesome to like, now it's in the stand and it's just going blank.
It's like tuning your guitar and having it dialed in and then laying a towel over the strings
Yeah, something, right.
to some extent.
Right. It's pretty incredible with the small moves.
So a note on this 18, heads are tight on the shell.
Yeah.
Not unusual. You're getting a little bit of wrinklage.
Yep,
I'll kind of go around on here and see if there's a spot where it wants to seat down.
sure. Fair to say it could be a couple things, right? The
Well,
shell
it's
obviously
probably-
is old, could be out of round. Remo is, as much as I love Remo, they're not always the best quality control. Like, and these boxes get kicked around and stepped
Right.
on and shipping and shit
They're
like
way
that.
better than they ever used to
Right.
be. Evans is the king for quality control. I still prefer the sound of Remo.
That's me too.
But on this, so right here I got a little give, so I'll push this down and then I'll tighten this.
Right.
So now I'm kind of, and then I'll go back around and see if I'm starting from the same spot, trying to avoid wrinkles around the whole thing. And then I'll kind of do this to, I don't want to say force it on, but evenly get it on instead of just grabbing one tension rod and starting to crank
Sure.
on it, because then you start pulling funny.
That's like kind of a thing that always scares me when I start to get into like high tension land. Is like, again, amateur guy, should I be here? Like, uh-oh.
Well,
know
if you
what I mean?
think, if you listen back to any old jazz shit, those guys crank that
cranked.
stuff so
Mm-hmm.
freaking
Some like
hard.
coffee cans.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
I mean, it was
right.
like, they're,
Even John Bonham, to today's standards, his
Oh,
toms
hell
are
yeah.
cranked up, man.
especially those bottom heads. But
Yeah.
it's like, if the head's going to blow out, it would take a lot to wreck a new head with how well they're made. I
Yeah.
think it's more about overstretching them to the point where you can't get back down.
Yeah.
But you got to go pretty freaking high to do that. And I think I've maybe only had that happen to me twice.
I just know when I hear dudes turning drum keys and you hear a little I'm like, ah!
Yeah,
no, they're
that's
strong.
usually the lugs needing a little love, not
Yeah.
the
Creakage.
head pulling up. It's the same thing. Now you can hear them springs.
Yeah, you can. Is what it is. I was gonna.
Once those in there and you start using those and there's some pressure on them.
So, I mean, this is even tension and we already got wrinkles. So, all that means is you just gotta really take your time. Oh, see?
That just snuck
It
right
just,
out. didn't
she
it?
went right down. So you gotta fight it. And I've had drums that are so easy to tune, you don't even have to tune them. But all the ones that I've had to fight more in my life are usually the ones that sound better.
Wait, back up a minute.
What?
It was so easy to tune that you didn't have to tune them.
Meaning that, like, I could tune them in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you throw a head on, you dial it up, and
Right.
it's there.
It's like,
I've had a rack tom like that.
So-
You basically just get that thing like finger tight and it sounds good already.
right,
But how many of your drums are actually like that? Fewer than
Very
more,
rare.
right?
right. Well, my infamous kit, I guess you could call that, my fives, like, that thing's not easy to tune at all. And I've had that kit for 20 years. I know it like anything else, better than anything else I've ever had my hands on. But it's a bitch to get where I want it. But when it's there, I can't get anything else to get there.
Right.
I'm learning so much here today.
This episode's
Are you mocking me?
Yeah, I know. No, I'm fucking for real.
Anybody watching this crap?
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
Chris is
people in
watching.
the chat.
He's on
Yeah,
good.
we got people in there.
Chris has a good
You gotta understand, just so like, okay, I'm a
Chris
guitar
does
player
have a
who
good
has
question.
now expanded out
I get
to
it,
all
dude.
these other instruments, right? And like, so it's like, yeah, can I sit down on a drum set and play some stuff or whatever? Sure, but like, if you need me to set one up from scratch, you know, whatever, it's
Oh,
like I feel
Foster's
like
in here.
I'm a fool. So this is super helpful.
We got Todd Fitzgerald in here. We got Michael Foster in here. Michael Foster is one of my favorite drummers. He's a really
See?
great drummer.
You hear that? So I had 2 tension rods. I'm going to back off what I just did. You had nothing.
Yep.
That one's got tension, and then this one got tension, and now you have a note.
Right.
That's wild.
Just I think that people think this is like, oh, here's my low E. It's not like that, man.
Yeah. That's
Even
that's
like
the
tuning
mystery.
drums is kind of bullshit. You're not tuning anything. You're tensioning them and getting them to the tension that they want to be at.
Thank you. That's a good way to look at it.
I got Joe's mic open. I'm sitting in Joe's.
Did you open it?
Yeah,
Since
I
it was
think
on,
it's
I have
on.
the muted on the...
Should be on now.
So another thing, being I kind of did that haphazard, push this on, get it so it's seated. I'm just trying to seat the thing. Low, really high. So I'm gonna go all the way off and come all the way back on. And I'll maybe even go around the whole drum and do that.
So what do we have? We have an 18 here, a 16, and a...
13.
Yeah, 13, 16, 18.
The fun part of this, fun might be the wrong word, is I have experience playing a 16 and 18. Tap has an experience playing 16, 18 floor toms, and they can be a bitch to get to work together.
That's kind of why I asked, because like leading that direction is like, okay, we've been talking about individual drums together, but like as you tension these and you need them all to work together, I mean, so you're just like getting a starting point, and then
I'm
we
just
have
trying to
everything
get the
in kit.
heads seated and in tune with themselves. Then I'm going to go back through it, and then I'll actually start on the lowest one and go up from there.
To get the trifecta, right? I mean, the good news is, right, this kit, much like my Ludwig kit, came with an 18. The 18 in the studio will probably almost never get used. So it's like we're really just getting the 13, 16. But since we have them all, and like Nick said, like there is a relationship that kind of needs to happen. Like you kind of got to pick one and go like, all right, the 18, this is as low as it's going to get, or this is where I want it to be. So this is my bottom note. So now my 16 and 13 kind of have to be certain pitches. I mean, you know, you get to choose those pitches, but you got to set the baseline and then figure out where you put the other ones. So Chris Wilson has a technical question, which I think is good for both of us, Nick.
Yeah.
He says, for studio tuning, with all the recording magic, how critical are studio drum tunings? It seems as though the drum sounds and tones are mostly replaced in the recording process. Is that somewhat accurate?
I call bullshit.
Right. Well, I mean,
That's my stance.
Right. I'll say this: it certainly depends on who's producing your record. Some guys
True.
are replacing everything. Some guys are replacing nothing. Nick and I are way into this stuff, so we try to get the drums to sound as best as they can, you know, at all times. And you know, and whether you're replacing even if you're adding kick samples or snare samples or replacing, adding, whatever, your drum mics are still, everything's in every mic, right? So all your drums are in your overheads, all your drums are in your room mics. So even if you got a new kicks, new snare, new whatever, if you're using overheads in rooms, then you still have your original kick and snare in there. Every drum is in every microphone, kind of. So I don't know. I always try to make it sound as good as possible. I never think about, don't worry about it because we're going to put a sample on it.
Well, it's the same thing to me as like vocalists using auto-tune as a crutch. Like you can use it as a tool. Like maybe you can't hit this note or maybe this part's a little shitty.
Sure.
Like then you go in there, but like
Sure.
not doing the due diligence on the front side and getting it as good as it can be. Like you got to start there. Otherwise, it's just, why don't you just play an electronic kit? I mean, that may sound harsh, but it's kind of the reality of it.
If you're not putting in that effort, then for sure your shit's probably getting replaced, bro.
Right.
I mean,
I'm the guy that can hear that in a record and it bums me out. Like if something is completely 100% sampled, I'm like, well,
it doesn't fit.
I'm just not that dude.
Same for me. I mean, and I do use samples often, but my biggest battle is like getting it in there without hearing it. Like getting it to supplement the snare drum and help me out in all the ways I needed to without being like, wow, sounds like you're firing a one loud snare sample. Like,
right.
I hate that. Right?
Yeah. It's just sterile to me.
And you know, everyone has the same packs of samples. There's a dozen of them or whatever rolling around. Everyone's got the same kick and snare. Not everyone has the same drum set. Not everyone has this Gretsch kit, or not everyone has Nick's Fives kit with the choices he makes as far as heads and everything else. Like these are the things that make you sound like you, unless you want to sound like Steven Slate, Rock Pack 06 or whatever. I don't want to sound like that. I want to sound like me. Nick wants to sound like him. And for better or for worse, like sometimes Joe will be here, I'm mixing something, and I'm like, shit, should I put a snare sample on this? Like, I fight it sometimes because I'm like, I would like to give the snare some help. However, it's almost there. And like, fuck it, man. This is the drum. This is what we got. Like, try to EQ it, try to compress it, try to squeeze whatever I can out of it. And if it comes up a little short, it just is what it is.
Well, and again, like, how many times in your life have you heard older shit where that wasn't an option, where you're like, man, this would be way better if that tom sounded like this, or if that snare.
Right.
Who did that song, Love is a Drug, for me? You know what I'm talking about?
Kesha.
No.
Love is a drug.
No,
The old song?
Yes.
I mean, are we talking?
You know what song I'm talking about. The reason I bring this up is if you pull that song up, and I recommend this to anybody, the fucking snare drum in that sounds like a timbali. There are no snares. None.
Sure. Yeah, right.
At all. And nobody probably has
The
ever
original
noticed
Saint
that.
Anger?
Right. Yeah. No, that's better than this.
Oh, wow.
It's like,
Oh,
it sounds like the wires are off. So anyway.
Well, there you go.
Interesting.
Well, there's some answers. Chris has
probably
good answers. I always try to have the best tunings, but thought it would be a good discussion. Yeah, I mean,
For sure.
there are some lazy engineers out there who will tell you, like, don't worry about the fact that your snare drum currently sounds like shit, man. We're going to put some samples on it later and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. That's just bunk. Like, good in, good out.
Right.
And anything, all of the...
It's the anti-fix it in the mix thing.
Yeah, right. Put something good down so that you don't have to fix it in the mix and your drums just sound great. And then everything else will be forced to work around your great sounding drums that will stay great sounding the whole time.
Right.
You touched on it earlier, man, but it feels like some of this is just like a consequence of how it's done now, especially, I suppose, during COVID times, but like just in general, that it's so easy to lean on that stuff. You know what I mean? For engineers and producers and stuff.
Yeah, we'll just record or whatever. Put a couple mics up, and then we'll just throw a ton of samples on it. We can make the drum sound.
Yeah, play the verse, play the chorus, I'll loop it, and here's the samples.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
It's
a
like, that's
way-
lazy, though, man.
That's a way to work.
I hate that.
It's just a different.
It's a way to work.
different mindset.
Right.
But that's not, that's not why we went to 3 drum shops to find all the fucking drum heads in town to do this today, because we're into like this nerdery.
Right. But it's like, to me, that's the stuff that still makes it interesting after doing it your whole life. It's like getting a little bit deeper into it and understanding all those nuances versus the new plug that replaces my snare that makes it sound like that snare that I could have bought and gotten that.
Yeah. Oh, you want the bell brass? Here it is.
Right. It's just, and there's the sound side of it, but then there's how does that kit feel to play with those heads tuned like that in that room with headphones on? It's an acoustic instrument like that.
Well, it's all that pursuit too, right? Like as you hopefully are growing as a musician, then, I mean, yeah, your ability has heightened, but also your ability to respond to being inspired by a great instrument
Right.
gets heightened. So if you have a great sound and a great set of drums and they're
Well, that's the
tuned
reason you
perfectly-
and I are excited about this kit. 'Cause it's like, I don't know what it's going to sound like, and I know what it's going to be, but it's going to be completely new and something that's not been done before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, man. The goal is to just go for it. Make them sound as sweet as you can. And if they, whatever. Do whatever you got to do. Yell at your engineer and tell them the snare drum's not happening yet. Let's get it better. Let's not just assume we're going to put a sample on it,
Right.
Michael Foster says, I absolutely agree about the 16 and 18 working together. He's been playing the 16, 18 for a long time. So
Yeah.
finding that the two pitches that aren't a half note apart or
Right.
whatever.
Where they're going, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, whoa.
where one tom freaks out the other tom, especially through a big loud PA or something.
Yeah.
I love big floor toms, especially like one hit in a song is like.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Well,
wait
that's,
for that.
in my opinion, 18s are good for that. It's like an 808 without the sustain.
Totally.
But a lot of times
it's a towel
that
rack
backfires.
and an occasional drop.
Right.
Bass drop.
Right. And it looks cool.
It looks killer.
Let's just be honest.
And if you want to put an extra cymbal over there, you may as well have an extra tom over there.
I always did.
Now we're playing the
Where do you
game.
play with that thing? Will you play it behind on your right side, or you ever throw it out here?
No,
Yeah, I always go.
no, my other
traditional.
snare is on the left side.
Right.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, and my splashes and my
Nick does
wind
usually have an
chimes.
og snare over there. though.
You should do.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's calling me. It must be important.
Oh boy.
Hey, is that
for his real
what watch is
situation.
that?
We're not talking about watches today.
I know I'm asking.
We're not.
Galaxy
Yeah.
Active.
Anyway.
Um,
But yeah, thanks for a couple questions. Mark Chico is in the house, man. Chico is maybe the best percussion player in the Twin Cities. Chico Perez. He's got those hand drums. Stan and Chico from the New Primitives are like
oh yeah.
my favorite. Yeah. Brad's probably met him at the old St. Paul studio. He's amazing, man. Because I've got to sit in a couple times. Like when you were kids. Did you ever have like an assembly, like in the gymnasium, where someone would come and talk to you about instruments or whatever? So Chico does that now, but it's just about percussion or whatever. So every once in a while, like we'd be at the studio and he'd pull out some weird thing and like he'd hit me with one of those stories, like as if I'm like a 5-year-old, But he's got the story, like that this was built because the women would go to the water and they, just this
Love that
story
shit.
from forever ago and like. And then he just plays the hell out of it, and you're like, "Oh, right, you're a percussion master, dude.
Right?
Like you're
Right.
deep." Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody that's in the chat. Feel free to keep asking questions. We're gonna put Nick back to work.
Stretching heads. So I talked about stretching them once they're on earlier. The key to doing that, though, is don't do it until it's in tune. Because if it's out of tune or not tensioned correctly, now you just stretched it.
You stretched it off kilter.
Right, and now you're fighting
Makes
that battle. So like this thing's pretty close for stretching. Really high for an 18. But a lot of times when you're dealing with shit like this that's snug, it's not out of round, it's just how stuff was made then. You can maybe...
It'll drop.
It just dropped. And I will bring one down if it's really high when I'm still in the tuning phase. But like a guitar, you never tune down to a note, you tune up to a note for the same reason. Because the head can bind and then you'll lose it later. Alright, that was 3 drops. We're gonna let that sit for now.
Kit's looking good with some hardware back on it.
Yeah, I can't wait to take these home.
Yeah. I mean, $3,000. They're all yours, dude.
That's it. 3,500.
Oh, there it is. Here, do a little plug on this. I can help.
Oh, there's the Hoop Protect thing. You bought one of these.
From Twin City.
Oh, this is the thing that just slides on and off.
Yeah, and they actually designed and engineered that.
There you go.
I have yet to put one on a drum, but I've seen the videos, and it literally just goes on. And if you have 5 kits and you don't want to buy 5 of those,
Right.
because every product I've ever used, with the exception of grip tape for stairs, sucks and falls
or leave
off.
sticky shit on your hoop
Yeah,
or whatever.
right.
There's always something right. Yeah, this thing's cool. It's just, it slides off and on. It looks like it just sits in there like a nice kind of rubber gasket. Feels solid.
Here's another interesting thing. This is loose. Bottom was tight.
Right.
It's just how it is sometimes.
Right.
And sometimes, if you're not super anal, I gotta have my logo in the right spot.
Tight bottom anal, huh,
A
Nick?
head will fit Huh? I'm sorry, what? You're going to speak up.
What's that?
What was that?
You were saying?
I lost my train of thought.
Oh,
No,
sorry
we're talking
about that.
about logo. I don't care where the logo is. So
If you don't, sometimes a head on a drum that's tight like that will fit better in a certain spot.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe out around together
Yes.
more. Right.
Same goes with hoops. Usually not with die cast.
Yeah,
Definitely
right.
can be the case with triple flanged. All right, on we go.
Where
On we
my
go.
EZE going? That's the question.
I don't know. You can't play that. That'll get flagged on.
No way, man. We figured it out.
Did you?
We got the secret. If you just talk shit over it.
Yeah, you just gotta be really quiet, basically.
No, what we figured out was like when we play music in here, if it's quiet enough, the mic barely
Right.
can't even tell.
The
Or you do what the
algorithm
one Instagram drummer dude does, where you just put it through a pitch shifter,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it does up and down, so
shakes
nothing can
the-
grab it.
Shakes
Yeah.
out the algorithm.
Sounds like you're at a carnival all the time.
The black dot looks good on a black
Sure
and
as
chrome
shit
drum.
does.
It does.
I like that you can still see the
Silver sealer.
you can see the mutes as well. Like if you were gonna use them, you could
Yeah.
actually see what was happening.
Drumhead selection. I'm curious about. You
Well,
guys made some choices here for what reasons? And
Well, we went for the bottom of the toms, the classic clear ambassador, just because I've tried coated.
Single ply 10 mil head.
I've tried coated, I've tried clear, I've tried some other stuff. I know Nick has too. It seems to be that the clear ambassador just seems to be the most versatile and just kind of the. I don't know, man. Like the coated ones, it seems like it'd be cool, but it just deadens them up a little too much or something. I don't know. On the bottom.
At least on your Ludwigs.
Yeah, on the Ludwigs.
Could be a different deal on this. I personally have never put coated heads on my Gretsch.
Right.
I have put
Yeah,
them
it
on
could
my
be different on
fives, and
these,
it was a different thing.
Right.
It's not what I hear, not what I want to hear.
Well, we went clear ambassador on the bottom, and then the CS clear on the top, black dot on the top, just because kind of a classic combo on the Gretsch thing. And I've been talking about putting these on the Ludwigs anyhow. I bought the heads originally because we were going to do this to the Ludwigs. It just so happened that I had to have this drum set. So why not?
Sorry, not sorry.
Right. So why not rehab this one? Because the Ludwig's actually in pretty good shape right now. It's all cleaned up. It needs some. It could use some new heads. But it's in good shape. Same size drum, so we just changed gears and decided to do this.
Ironically, these heads have kind of come back into vogue, if you will,
They really
in the
have.
last probably 10 years.
Yeah,
I guess
they
you
kind
could
of
say.
went away, like probably end of the '80s or something.
Well, they were the first, from what I recall, they were the first like 2-ply head before there was a 2-ply head. So in the 70s, everything came with these on them because they were tough as shit. They're
last
tough
forever.
They're tougher than a
Right.
2-ply head.
Right.
They kind of worked really well on single-headed drums because they were a little dead and helped focus the sound.
Right.
Joe, you were asking about sound. So the whole dot concept is that it focuses the sound. It's called a control sound for a reason, and it adds a little bit of an attack. I was thinking about this morning because that's what I do, and they're tougher than like an Emperor, simply because a 2-ply head you have 2 plies floating, where this is glued on here, so that thing ain't going anywhere.
Right.
Specifically, like, I guess, what sound are you guys kind of looking for in versus like another type of a batterhead specifically, right? You guys want like on this drum set, it's 70s, vintage Gretsch or whatever. So I kind of want to get these heads because I think it's gonna sound.
I think on this kit, because I have the same setup at home minus the 18
Right.
in a natural lacquer instead of a wrap, so a little bit different but close enough. And I put these heads on it just because I had them sitting around and was shocked at how my buddy Mark said they do the loose tight thing really well. Meaning like you can get super low and guttural,
Right.
but they still feel good to play. It's
feel
not
bounce.
like you're
They
hitting
got
them.
bounce.
Yeah, and part of that's the die-cast hoops, part of that's the edges, part of it's
I
the
think
Gretsch
I know
thing.
that feeling, right?
And he said that, I'm like, yeah, it's exactly it. Like, if you want to go really low, I mean...
Which I usually like.
Lars notoriously on the Black album played a Gretsch kit
right.
just like this.
Right,
And he
that's
was a hardcore, Tama's probably biggest endorsee
Yeah,
at that
but not
point.
in the studio.
And he
that
got
old
his
Gretsch kit.
balls in a vice for it.
Right.
But because you
He
could
got
do
that
that.
sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they did that.
He
And
got
he
that
was...
great Gretsch sound.
Yes. They should use that for something.
They said, that's a good quote. I'd like to thank Gretsch for sending these drums too.
Yeah.
Remo for the head.
I'd like to thank Remo for sending these hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of heads.
I'd like to thank Gretchen Ham Lake for...
What's up, Michael Foster? Where's the Remo hookup? You got an endorsement.
I lost mine.
Foster's got all the good endorsements. Foster's a great drummer.
Well, I shouldn't say I lost mine. COVID kind of fucked a lot of stuff up for a lot of people.
Oh,
and
as far as
unfortunately, the
getting
lovely
hooked up
lady
on
that
some
was the
stuff.
artist rep there for 35 years no longer works there because she lost her
Heartbreaking.
job.
That sucks.
It does. So I ain't about to start bitching about heads
Right, no,
over
we're
that.
happy to pay for them, whatever we get them.
I'm going to do the same thing on this because, again, just trying to make sure that motherfucker is on there right. So these are all equal tension right now, best I can tell. I really like these Evans
Yeah, those are cool.
because of this allows you to kind of go around and finger tight.
Yep.
There's a magnet in them so you can leave it on your floor tom when you're playing and it won't
Yep. I got a
sit and
couple
chatter
of those.
around, and it's got a little weight to it.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Done.
I'm
Done.
back in band class.
Yeah, exactly.
Put the cover back on the timpani.
That's exactly what.
Quit screwing around, kid.
So again, I'm gonna hit all these quarter turn. I'm always a little extra cautious as the drums get smaller to not over tension one because then you start fighting yourself. Now that was a quarter on this, but I got wrinkles here,
Yeah.
and I can tell that one's really loose. Now that one's floating.
So when you're doing this, like, how far will there ever be a point where it's like, okay, you got a wrinkle over there, it's really loose? Will you go and get that one tightened up, or will you back off another one somewhere and not? You know what I mean?
Sometimes this wrinkle here is coming from here.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
It's
That
opposite
counter
side.
thing, right.
And this head's still a little too loose. It's literally, the only way I ever learned how to do this was in my early 20s. I got my Fibes kit and I worked at Ellis Drum Shop and I bought every single freaking drum head there ever was. And I put it on for 3 days, like, nope, threw it away. And I kind of learned how to do it that way.
Right.
And ironically ended up right back where I started with what I liked. But
Yeah, right. But now you knew for sure.
it's just a matter of the shit takes time and everybody wants the quick fix. That's why I was saying, like, you put a guitar string on, you tune it to an E. This is not that.
Right.
This isn't that at all.
Right.
For sessions, I've spent 4, 5, 6 hours just doing this to get a kit ready to take to the studio
Yeah,
and then
right.
do the same shit the
Right.
next day.
'Cause you want to give yourself the best chance, right?
Just for those guys to throw a sample on.
Right.
No, and that's probably, maybe I get a little butthurt about that stuff, but it's like, if you know how to do it, this to me, and learning how to do this and getting good tones is way more enjoyable than some producers throwing a sample
Oh,
on and being
totally,
like,
man.
that's
Right.
cool. Yeah, it's easy, but it
I
just
just still
doesn't.
think that those things need to be thought of as supplemental items.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tool,
needed,
not a
Your
crutch.
kick drum needs a little help. Your snare drum needs a little help. Okay.
I mean,
whatever.
we've tracked shit in
Tuck
here, and
it in
you've
there.
thrown a sample on, and like, man, it just needs a little something
right, just
underneath
a little,
it.
right, just a little extra. Like if I would have had a bigger room or more inputs or whatever, I could have maybe put up a microphone and got that. But since I didn't, right,
And it's not the sound that you're hearing.
it's not just right. Like right. Oh man, we recorded a piccolo snare and we should have recorded a big chunky snare. So let me just fire one in there.
Right.
It doesn't really work like that. Like
So these are all feeling equal tension and completely are
sounding a little
well,
different. Right. Yeah.
way high, way low. So again, just because the tension
Right. There's
at the lug seems right doesn't mean it is on the
nuances in the
head.
shell. Everything has there's a little wiggle room in this.
And when shit gets goofy again, if I see wrinkles and I'm at a tension where I'm getting a clean note, I'll
Right.
back them all the way off and then quarter turn them on to see if the head will reseat.
Right.
And I'll probably end up at the same note overall that I was, but it's just another check and balance. It's high, but
We got users submitting pictures over here. People are tuning in now.
What's happening?
Matt's by tuning in and sending in photos.
Oh, nice. Clean off that coffee table, Matt. You got time to lean, you got time to clean, buddy.
doesn't take long for anybody. Even if you come down here virtually,
Yeah.
like you're gonna get your shit busted.
Welcome to the
Oh,
club.
it's just, yeah, you're not in until that
You
happens.
better have thick skin
Right.
if you're trying to hang around here.
What a dick, man. I was watching. No more of that shit.
Now I'm watching Steven Slate
Right.
videos.
Back to Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah. Speaking
Alright.
of Chuck.
Next.
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 Sitting on my knees for like 5 hours is gonna be awesome.
First? Oh yeah.
Don't you normally
Is
have
there
like a little knee
Is there a
pad?
different way to do it that's better for you?
No, I left those at my buddy's house.
Ah. I've been meaning to borrow those.
bet
Can I
you
get
did.
those later?
This is classic Gretsch too.
Is he a priest?
The silver paint where they literally have like some person with the freaking roller. I've seen like
Oh,
the
roller?
roller lines
Yeah,
where they
yeah,
just
yeah.
Really?
on the inside.
Yeah. Someone's grandkid.
That makes me feel better. Like, I don't know, every time I hear you, I mean, it's just from a different perspective, right? Because I hear him talk about shit all the time, kind of tune it out. But like,
Right.
like vintage, knowing what to look for in like vintage gear, and like, oh yeah, and this was made this way because X, Y, and Z happened or whatever, and knowing that stuff, especially vintage stuff, like doesn't necessarily line up. And like, it's not a bad thing per se.
No, it's what gives it
That's
its
the character,
nuance.
right?
I mean, you look at shit and how stuff was made then. Like, it was people drawing shit on paper. There was no
Right.
technology. And
Pencil line.
There's a
No
lot of
consistency in that.
there's a lot of
Someone was putting these lugs in with a cigarette hanging out of his
Yeah.
mouth.
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm saying, right.
Guaranteed.
Right.
And it was okay because their mom was pregnant, smoking a cigarette right next to him. You know, it's
Right.
how-
Right. She was putting on floor tom legs.
Pregnant with the next one.
right.
We know more now than we knew then. Okay, that's
Yeah. At least we think so.
yeah, right. True.
I don't know.
Until we figure out that we don't.
So this is a little dirty. Did you actually clean this one?
I mean, put a quick rag on it. Just a quick rag.
My buddy Myron would be disappointed. He would have tumbled this shit. He would have taken this to growth
Tell
and
Myron to come over and clean these bitches anytime.
I didn't go full tilt. I didn't have time. Quick turnaround.
You should have seen him last night. I wish Nick would just come over right now.
I know. I had all the shells out and like. Now I want to see it with the hardware
Oh,
back
right,
on,
right,
'cause
right.
the naked shells don't look as cool anymore.
no, it sure doesn't.
All the chrome's off.
Sure doesn't.
Like, we
There was
need to
definitely a
put this
moment when we were
BS together.
prepping. And we were kind of all just looking at it, and it's like, man, it'd be cool to hear this thing. Right? I'm just excited. I'm excited to hear what this thing can do.
I got to cut a thing tomorrow for my dad's band. I got to play drums on a song, so I'll get to check these babies out right away tomorrow.
Right on.
So,
I've been loving this shit. I was, back to the black dot heads. I got the 14, 16, 24 at home set up, and I've had, I have it here somewhere, freaking 14-inch zero ring sitting on this,
oh,
on the 16,
Yeah.
and then on the 14 I have those floating mutes.
uh-huh.
Dead as shit.
Yep.
Freaking sounds killer.
Yep.
More questions, or everybody go to Potbelly for lunch?
I mean, as always, there's people in here not chatting as much.
It's all good.
Such is the life of the stream, man. It seems to ebb and flow and kind
Right.
of come in.
Especially on Saturday, we don't really know.
Oh yeah, everybody's at
Right.
grocery store. And
Speaking of, I need to do that.
Go to the grocery store?
another pro tip I'd suggest to anybody that owns a drum kit, especially if you're doing
Tread
a lot of
lightly,
stuff.
though.
Turn it on as fast as it can go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
High torque. Just
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
think you're like
Just
in
straight
marching
to
band.
dual mode.
Right.
No, at least for taking shit
For
apart.
off, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
For on, you got to be careful. I've seen dudes just
I always
it's easy
switch it
sing
to low
right-
speed and turn the clutch as light as
All
it'll
the way
go,
to
so I
light,
can't
yeah.
accidentally just hammer
Right,
down and blow a lug out.
Right. I've seen it happen. Where it's like the rim just goes, you're
Yeah.
like, well, you may as well just put that head in the trash.
Right.
That's done for.
Dunzo.
That's $17 gone.
17, exactly.
Or whatever it is. I don't know. Something like that. Heads are getting expensive.
Well, those two heads were $60 plus
For
tax.
218s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Foster wants to know if you're tuning if you're tuning the bottom heads a little tighter than the top, or about the same.
We'll get there, but go
Don't
ahead.
know yet.
Oh.
Well, don't know yet. Depends on the drum. Typically, the minor third is a very common choice, right? Minor third above the top.
I generally speaking, and it's changing all the time because I stopped telling myself what I do and don't like, which is how I ended up on some of my favorite tones. Like I was saying earlier, the whole die-cast hoop thing, I always said it was bullshit because everybody always told me it was bullshit, and I never experienced it for myself. Experienced it for myself and was like, okay, this is actually pretty sweet.
It's a big,
at least on toms and stuff.
It's a different-
Snare, I could go either way.
Yeah, okay, yep.
But floor toms, I tend to tune them the same.
Same pitch.
And then the rack, I'll bring up the
Yep.
bottoms. But again, it depends on what the hell the drum wants.
What the drum wants, yeah. Yep. I feel like the minor third in
Yes, that's
in
always a
theory
good
is
point.
probably the best way to get yourself somewhere decent if you need something to shoot for and you're new to tuning.
And you
drums
can go
or
the
whatever.
other way and turn the batter a minor third higher and get a completely different thing.
Right. I guess I've never really done too much of that.
Oh.
Broke it. Just broke it.
Seriously.
So you're saying resonant had like a minor third higher than the batter, right?
I always start.
And then instead of bending down, does the note bend up, kind
It
of?
kind of gives you a pre-EQ'd thing, and it also gives you a totally different feel because that head's tighter.
Splashes
Right.
back different.
Yeah.
Right, I believe that.
Good question.
I always start matched because that's maximum sustain, maximum tone,
Same
maximum
pitch, top and
everything.
bottom,
Yes,
right.
and then I go from there.
Right.
Depending again on what the drum wants.
Right.
Like if you do that on some super dead drums and then you go minor third, it might choke it out.
Sure.
It just really depends,
Yeah.
and it depends on what pitch you want that drum at too.
What do you think about these black 70s Gretches, Foster? Kind of cool, right? 13, 16, 18, 24. We think they're 74, 75-ish.
Well, the guy said he bought them in '75 from Thompson.
Yep, Thompson Drum Shop. He knew he had all the story. The
Surprised he didn't have
was
paperwork.
right. Yeah, right.
For how it sounds.
As I'm like already paid the guy, they're like upstairs at the back door, about to go out to the truck. His wife's like, "You sure you're gonna be okay with letting those go? You've had them like 45 years."
It's a long time, man.
Wow, man, that is a long time to have anything.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I'm good with it. They're too loud. Too big and loud.
Spoken like a dude that played
Yeah.
drums for 10 years
Yeah, yeah.
in his early
He's
20s.
just like, they're just too big and loud. He said he was thinking about still playing though. He's gonna get like a Yamaha, bop kit or something pretty small. It's not like his. Like I said, he said when he bought these drums in '75, he was inspired by some jazz guy who was a Gretsch guy. So I think he bought this kit and played jazz on it.
Well, I mean, Tony Williams, we were talking about him earlier. That's
Sure.
what he was playing 13, 14, 16,
Right.
18, all the big shit,
Yeah.
tuned high as hell.
You always
Black
stick to
dots on
jazz
them.
guys with small sizes. Like this is total rock guy sizes, but
He's winding those heads up though.
oh sure, I mean it'll do it. It'll do it. You
Right.
play whatever you want. But you just assume if someone's buying a jazz kit, it's gonna be like a 20, not a
Foster
24.
says he's got die-cast rims on one of his Maple DW kits as well.
Oh right. Foster's got a bunch of great DW kits. I hear it.
Is it a DW Maple or is it their
Yeah.
jazz series?
Foster has got a handful of kits. He's
talking
a
about
DW endorsee.
But they have a jazz series.
Oh right, which is like the maple gum thing.
Which is this.
It's this, right? It's these shells.
Which is weird because now DW owns Gretsch and they're still making those drums that
Oh,
basically
yeah. Just basically
mimic what
rebadging
they're-
them, badge and lugging them differently. Yeah, Michael's been playing DW for years. He's got a bunch of cool kits.
I think this one's gonna drop like a motherfucker when I do this. Yep.
Boom, boom. That was close.
It's a collector's Maple.
So that's all maple? Maple Keller?
Yeah.
Or just maple? Yeah.
Depending on what era. We'll start there.
He was.
Need more drums, Jesus.
We buy more drums. We
Yeah,
just
one
gotta
more.
find them. Keep looking at Craigslist. Let my bank account rejuvenate for a little bit. My bank account's like an 80s video game where it like takes a hit and then it's like blinking and it's down, but somehow it's just like, and you're like, oh, it's time to purchase again, and then you're back to that.
Yeah. That's
I
the
know you know the feeling.
that's the life of a real musician right
Totally.
there.
Yeah, right.
The guy who I was buying these from, we were talking a little bit about that or whatever, and he's like, so you just play in a band and work in a recording studio and you're making it, huh? And I was like, well,
I was, and now I'm gonna buy these,
well,
and now I'm
like,
fucked.
Yeah, well, you gotta define making it, but
Right.
I guess so, and he was just like, well,
I mean,
God,
ramen's not that bad.
right. Did have ramen recently. Yep. Every once in a while, a chicken ramen with a little hot sauce
Dude,
on it.
people hate on it. Oh, tough times ramen. I'm like, bro, I just eat ramen.
I don't mind a
Love
ramen.
it.
I could,
So
I
we
could
like
go for some right now.
8,000%
I
of
don't
your
mind
daily
ramen once in a while.
recommended.
Brad, order
sodium.
some ramen.
I got a little cooker.
4 for
a
$1.
microwave cooker
Yeah,
with a
bro.
Walker
I get the
one.
big pack, like the box.
Oh, get that palate.
That's like $4.
Yeah,
I
right.
get
See, if
7
I'm
of
gonna
them.
eat that shit now, I'll go to a place and get it. I ain't doing that.
Oh, you want that real
No,
stuff.
you guys
I'm
are
talking
like
about
crop.
that.
We're talking about like some
Yeah.
smack ramen.
4 for $1.
No, not the
Chicken
shit
flavor.
where you're,
25 cents.
Yeah.
not
Tapping out the
the shit where
packet.
your pee smells funny 20 minutes after eating it.
Yeah. My pee smells funny anyway.
Right. That stuff actually helps clear Joe's
Yeah,
pee up a
yeah.
little bit.
Right, right.
I got my own thing going on.
Wow.
You didn't know what you were getting into.
I did. I knew the whole time.
His drums look a lot
Still
better when you
game.
put the rims back
Sure
on.
do. I can't wait to take him home.
Yeah, dude. Like I said,
said
for you,
3,700.
$28.50.
I love how it goes up every time,
Every time
too.
I say it, I'm like a little higher.
For you, since you're a friend and you're helping us out today, 32.5.
Didn't we already talk about this shit earlier?
Now that you got some money going, though, I'm gonna need that 35.
You know what I bought them
Yeah.
for yesterday, but
Right.
today it's a slightly
It's a
different number.
400% increase.
Now that you
It's
fixed
cool.
them up,
Well,
yeah.
they're celebrity owned.
I'll give you
as well.
$50 off your next session.
Well, we know he's eating.
Where's that silver?
Yeah, bro.
Where's that silver Sharpie? I'll add a few $100 to it.
I want to try some.
Yeah,
of
you
that
want to color in the rest of
restaurant.
the inside?
Yeah, right.
Silver sealer? Ah, looks like silver Sharpie to me.
No, I don't think so.
These guys are out of control.
You're right, but it was a nice Sharpie, though. It was a nice Sharpie. Oh, man.
It is cool, back on the kit thing, to find something this old that's not completely fucked.
Not hashed.
And like
That's
so
not-
nice that you wouldn't want to do anything to it to change it.
Right. I was saying to Joe, it's perfect for a guy like me because it's all there. They're going to sound great. You could record them. You could take them out and play them or whatever, but they're not collector grade.
No.
They've been used. There's a couple of
Right.
dings. There's a couple of scratches. So they're not going to be crazy collector money on
No,
reverb.
but they're a solid 9 out of 10 in my book.
Oh, yeah, they're
I
right
mean, I'd
there.
gig with these in a heartbeat.
They're nothing but honest wear, yeah.
And not feel bad about
Right.
it.
Now that they're
Right.
cleaned up on a
That's
stage.
my kind of kit.
Yeah.
I want shit that's nice, but I don't want a trailer queen drum kit.
To me, there was a time where I didn't think about kind of vintage drums and guitars the same way. Like I wanted drums to stay cleaner. So like now, like if I get a '60s guitar, every little nick and check, I love it.
That's part of the
So
story.
it's like, well, why not feel the same way about a vintage set of drums? Like, who, I don't need them to be mint. I didn't put these nicks and scratches on here, but the guy I bought them from did. For 30 some years or whatever. And
Well, you and I talked about that before. It's like, it's cool to get that, for dudes that own the 60s whatever guitar that's been in a closet its whole life.
Right.
But that just probably means it was a shitty ass guitar
Right, or it
because
never
nobody
got
wanted
played.
to play
It
it.
didn't get maintained. The neck
Right.
was allowed to bow and
Right.
not be changed or
It's like the good stuff.
hydrated.
The good stuff beat up because it got used.
It got
it's
used.
supposed to be a means to
and,
an end.
and it knows what it is now. Right. Yeah, I don't know. This was a perfect buy for a guy who doesn't need a second drum set whatsoever.
It goes perfect with your 10 snares.
Yeah, right.
I think
Well,
you
yeah,
might
I
have
gotta
more than
round
me.
down-
More sets to
Alright.
fill it, round it
Yeah,
out.
now I got.
Well, you could have made a kit out of the snares.
I just need more room. I need a bigger
Yeah,
house.
that's it.
It's the drums aren't the problem. It's I don't have enough room to keep the drums themselves.
Common problem.
Right. Just need a bigger house.
Good.
Spent all your money on the drums, though.
Yeah, right. I hope those drums keep you warm at night.
Hear it?
Oh yeah.
So this will be interesting, and I'd be curious because this is a phenomenon in the old school drum world where you can hear the springs
Quing,
in
quing,
here.
quing. Yeah,
And
right.
some guys are like, oh man, I can hear that. But I have a hard time believing
We'll
in a
see.
rock setting.
In a mix of everything,
Right.
even just hearing the drum set is.
I don't know. I mean, it's a thing. I know it's a thing that drives people crazy, but
Yeah, they sing a little bit. Yeah, we'll see. I was saying to Nick and these guys earlier, I did buy a giant bag of cotton balls, the classic fix to this. People take all the lugs off, wrap the springs in cotton balls, and it takes all that chatter away. But these lugs have not been off these drums since 1974. I can tell. They're all tight as can be. And I was afraid that if I started trying to back those screws off, I was going to start breaking some of the inside pot metal on these because they're just known to start to crumble.
because they use self-tapping screws.
And like I said, not a single screw on this drum set was loose. So I decided to leave it alone, not try to take it off and go for the cotton ball thing for fear of causing more damage than good. But yeah, talking about condition, like every washer on every lug nut for all the toms, everyone was there. So shows you that the guy took care of this stuff. What time is it?
1:30.
All right. Magic eraser on the front Gretsch head, huh? Just to give it maximum.
If you're careful, it shouldn't take the shit off.
If I do at some point want to vent that clear Emperor that I have, port that thing, what's the move? Hot coffee can? How you doing it these days?
I have a
You have a thing?
yeah.
He's got a thing. Of course he does. Professional.
Yeah, I have a thing that adjusts from 2 to 10 inches.
Oh.
You can do the hot coffee can
Joe's
thing.
got that same thing, yep.
What?
There's a
I'm sorry, I meant 2 to 16. I had my math wrong. I'm a little tired from all the adjusting yesterday.
I bet.
Oh, studio hang.
Studio hang. Drop it. Clear. Come back to me. I can tell this drum's gonna sound good.
I can too.
I can tell.
It's
that
funny
drum's
how
gonna
that
sound
works.
Good, yeah.
And again, it's
I
like
can't hear it on the 18 quite yet, but this one, as you're queuing it up, I already know this one's gonna sound good.
You
This,
do that, Brad. You were doing. That'd be too bad.
Brad's like, it'll sound okay.
What these fools don't know.
I was watching a video back on the Gretsch thing, not to make this a Gretsch commercial, but
That's all right.
kind
Gretsch
of bound to
drums.
have,
Should make it,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll be happy to endorse your free drums as soon as you send free drums.
But there was a dude that owns a drum shop at Drum Center Portsmouth, and he was doing a review on Gretsch, talking about he never has gotten it, he never understood it. But then he went and played a show. He had like 3 shows, 3 nights, and the Gretsch kit was the backline kit. And every single room he played in, they sounded exactly the same, and they sounded amazing in every single room.
Right.
And I can attest to that too. I don't know what the hell the deal is. Again,
They
it's
stay
the sum of all the parts.
More consistent than some other drums do for some reason.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Damn, that looks good.
Right? They really
It's
they
really
cleaned
coming
up
together.
nice.
It's
to get
definitely
those-
better than we were staring at shells last
I
night.
totally should have brought the black dot batter head for the kick, but
Oh man, just to really take
I'll just keep that at home for now.
Take it to
You
outer
brought plenty of
space.
stuff.
Yeah, we got drum heads. It's nice to be working our way through all these drum heads.
It's also cool that these badges also match because that was common for Gretsch to not.
Mismatch, right?
More
So
so.
what's the deal? It was a stop sign through the 70s and then it goes square in the 80s or something? Like, I don't know.
Well, there's
all
stop
this.
sign, then there's the drop G stop sign,
Oh,
then there's a
right.
square badge,
Drop G, that's right. the
which
different
is this
logo.
badge but with the that logo on it,
Right,
that Gretsch logo.
Right,
And
right.
a lot of those kits were mixed between this and that,
right.
and that was
Some
around.
different badges on the same drum set.
Yeah,
right.
because they had the drop G badge was 80 to 81, and then it switched to the square badge after that. If I remember correctly.
Crazy. So much to remember.
Sick, dude.
Oh yeah, lug. Yeah, I was shocked. Every washer on every lug. That's a dude who took care of drums over the years, or like really changed heads next to never.
I don't. Well, if you said the original heads were on the bottom,
Oh yeah, one of those hoops was a little chowed up, which I was
this
assuming
one
was the bottom.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm going with too. Brad, your turn.
Yep.
We have a question from Chris Wilson.
Let's hear it.
Go ahead.
Brad doesn't have a mic. Well, you'll be on the room mic.
Yeah,
Kyle.
we're all in the room. Like,
So-
this thing's not even on.
Oh. Okay.
So Chris said, I started playing with a tune bot, kind of like that all the tension rods are set to the exact frequency. Thoughts
Oh
on those?
yeah, I've seen, that's like the iPhone app essentially of like a
Yeah.
tension dial. I haven't used one.
I-
It'll get you in a neighborhood, I'm sure, right?
I think if it's, in my opinion, in the essence of speed, if you're trying to get somewhere fast, like if you're in an environment you can't hear shit, I would be all over that.
Right.
Me speaking for me.
Yeah.
I still have a hard time believing that if it says that everything is in tune, that it sounds
Right.
as good as it would if you sat and dialed it in. It's like you can tune a guitar and get it all relative pitch, but that nuance where you're using harmonics and shit and shaking that out,
Right.
you know, are the electronics better than the human ear? I don't know.
Depends on the ear.
Also very true. I don't think those are a bad thing. My buddy Myron, I know he's used that, and he's like, well, I tune it to this, and I tune it to this, and then I grabbed it, I'm like, yeah, those are the same two notes that I tuned to. So there's relative shit going on there.
It's got to get you at least 80% of the way
Right.
there, and then
Absolutely.
you can key it up from there and be in a good starting spot.
Well, and if I was me now 20 years ago trying to figure this shit out, I'd probably be using something like that just to get a better scope on how to get to that spot.
Sure.
Well, and that kind of comes back to like you said earlier when we were talking about a couple of these tools being like not a crutch, but like
Right.
a tool to help you learn, and that's great and
Right.
use in areas.
Right. And I think everything should be approached like that.
Agreed.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people, with how easy everything can be,
That's just how they do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And is that bad? I don't know.
Right.
Not for me to say.
You use an app.
I'll say it.
I make Nick come over.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's my
he is
app.
the app.
Here's my app.
Right.
Firehouse 3 recorded on a Gretsch kit.
Yeah, studio staple. I mean, so,
Every legit studio's got a Gretsch kit.
Right. I've noticed that. So, you know, there's Ross Garfield, who's the famous Los Angeles drum doctor. He has a really cool YouTube channel that he's recently started, sitting down with different drummers and putting different drum sets together. But he has been running around studios and doing sessions in Hollywood forever, and I think he has a couple of different Gretsch kits. Some of which are this vintage, some of which might be a little bit later, but they are for sure like his number one most rented kit. Like it's on everything. When Gratitude went to LA and made a record with Jim Scott, we had Ross's natural Gretsch kit. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same one that when they took Dave Grohl over back to Sound City
Yeah.
for that movie and they show him
Red one.
playing drums in that room. I think it's the same drum set because
Yeah.
I'm sure Ross brought that for that thing or whatever. But yeah, Gretsch drums are. My Ludwig is really cool. I'm stoked to have it. Gretsch's are kind of famously known for being like real racehorses in the studio. They just, like Nick said, you could tune them high and bright, you could tune them low and boomy. You can different heads respond differently.
Again, I can already tell this is gonna sound good.
Right. Yeah. Gretsch drums. I'm stoked. I've always wanted a decent set of Gretsch's. I had a crappy set for a short while when I was in the stereo. It was a really weird size. It was like a 12 by 13 rack, or just some era where the rack was like.
Yeah, all that
It
80s Power
looked
Tom shit.
horrible. It sounded cool, but it looked horrible. It had really weird hardware. And now that I think back, that kit might have been a Slingerland kit. I can't remember if it was a Gretsch or a Slingerland. It was black and it was vintagey, but I've always wanted something just like this one. So to find this one, I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, stop talking about it, okay?
Hey man, you could have bought it
I know.
several times.
You
But
still
now-
can.
but now I-
3,800.
Right. You could leave with it.
No, now I
tonight.
can play it and
Keep
drop it
bringing
off
up,
and
dude.
Right.
fuck your heads up.
Yeah. True.
That's okay. I know I have first right of refusal anyway, so
Yeah, right.
it's an unspoken rule.
There's just stuff. You needed some stuff? Take some stuff.
Right.
I need some stuff. Give me some stuff. I do want those Sabians that we were talking about.
Working on
that
it.
goes down.
I'm working on it.
Sorry, I got a home studio at home built from like all the shit he doesn't use anymore.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Believe that.
He sneaks stuff away, and then 3 years later, I forgot I had it, and now it's just part of his home studio.
You still know it's there. It's still
Right. Occasionally, I'm like, "Do you have a thing?" Oh yeah. I'm like, okay. Right.
It's yours until he sells it, then it's his.
Yeah.
You've had one compressor of mine for at
Yep.
least 5 years.
Oh yeah,
Or
easily.
maybe way
well
longer.
more than that. I'd
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back to like probably 7.
Like I literally forget that he has it, and I'm like, "Oh right, you have one of my DBX 160s, huh?" Oh yeah.
Every couple of years, you're like, do you?
Yeah.
It's like, yep.
All right, that's fine. I don't need it.
Yeah.
I still don't need
I
it.
know. I'm like, it's like I'm waiting for the day you're gonna be like, hey, can I get that? I'm gonna be like, sure. What are you working on, man? Like, where you like need
I'll-
this?
if I get
That's
to a
right,
point where
that's
I'm
right.
calling you for that, I'm working on a crack habit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working on. Yeah.
Good to know, bro.
pretty
Good
much-
to know.
You know what? Yeah.
Can't
I
imagine
wanna
where I
be
would
an
be
enabler.
desperately needing that $150 so bad that I'm finally like, hey man, I'm gonna need that compressor back. We've had for 10 years.
It's so cold.
I just need a hit, man, baby.
They tore down the pawn shop next to
Right.
the caboose. I don't know where I'm gonna get my shit from.
What?
Selling off a bunch of Nick's old tools.
They actually did. I drove by that yesterday. I think they're building condos. I'm, I'm
Gentrification.
I'm maybe not kidding.
Yeah, no, I don't think you are. They're like, man, this is a shitty neighborhood. We should put up like $4,000 a month apartments. Good quality.
Yeah. Good luck.
Where are the people gonna go? I don't know. I'm rich. Sorry, what are we talking about?
It's just this is a tax write-off. It's an investment.
Yeah, no shit. Dude, this little, like, if you sneak it right, well, you're in it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this angle is tight.
Oh yeah.
You guys are both chill.
This camera? Yeah.
Yeah, I just moved it.
Nice.
I've been listening, man. It's neat. I mean, you can hear as you're tapping around and
Yeah.
stuff. So you can hear it all for sure on the other end.
Should be at a decent.
I just also, you know, coming back to some of the tools, like I don't have a great ear, man. So like that's my hard thing.
Sure. Right.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
where like the tune bot and that kind of shit is great to get people in the ballpark when they're starting from
Right.
square
If you don't
one.
know what to listen for,
Yeah.
then you're really shooting in the dark.
Because I didn't know.
Right.
I mean, when I was 18, all my shit, my fucking 9x14 brass snare drum sounded like a freaking gunshot. Like,
Yeah.
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 Right.
I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah,
I knew
Go
in
as
my
tight
head
as
where I
would
wanted it to
Like,
go,
that's pretty
but
tight. I think it's done.
Right.
I think that's done.
I still struggle with it, like as you're going around and finding your pitch, it's like in my mind there has to be one log or like one tone that you're finding that's got to be like the bass line and all the others are trying to get to it, but that's not necessarily the case on a drum. You know what I mean? Like
No,
you're
and again,
working it all
especially
up
on the-
together or whatever.
especially, I shouldn't say especially, more so maybe on vintage shit where quality control wasn't as good. It's like all the rules are kind of out. I'm just trying to get a good freaking note and a starting point. Because if I say I want to tune this to a G or whatever, I might not be able to get that out of this. It might have to go higher.
Yeah, right. Might just not want that note. And again, depending on the space you're in, you get
Right.
you get some different tolerances. It seems like this room is pretty tight and dry, so like you kind of have to find a sweet spot. There's not a huge range in here.
Correct.
Tom heads seated and basically at a starting point.
So we'll get these things dialed, and then are you gonna go through these again and kind of tighten them up a little bit, or are we gonna put them
I got
in
to tune them.
place?
I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Right,
I
you
just
just kinda-
got shit on and
Yeah,
kind of
the
like
tension.
tension.
Seated and even, right?
I'm just wondering if you'll get them in place and dial them up, or now go through them for like a proper tune.
Probably a little bit of both, right?
All right. Okay.
Right.
Can
No,
I
just-
take a 5-minute break?
Yeah.
You certainly can take a
Absolutely.
take a break at any point.
I think we're paying him for breaks.
Yeah.
We could talk. I could talk about the Jonah record too, or we could talk about the Jonah
There you
record
go.
too.
Might do a little walkthrough with it on Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I'm gonna wait till then. We should do that.
All right.
Is it out today or anything special, or is it not till Tuesday?
Not, I mean, these are all Kickstarter things.
Oh, yeah,
those
yeah,
are
right,
arriving.
right.
And
We'll wait.
the full record's not out for another couple weeks.
Nice. We'll wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Looking good. That's for sure.
Now that I'm started, let me get in here.
Yeah, now that you did all the shitty work.
The head combination looks good on these drums.
Man,
The
it
dog
does.
hair and the static really makes them look nice too.
What's also rad as shit on these, and it is a Tony Williams thing, black dots on the bottom as well.
Oh, sure.
Because my buddy has this same size setup in a new Gretsch kit.
Yep.
That's red sparkle, and I double dotted his.
Woo, double dot in it, boy.
Red Sparkle bead.
It's sweet with
What
black.
you know about double dots, yo?
Not enough.
It's sweet.
Not enough.
And I tune those up like Bonham territory, and it's cool. Super, super cool.
Who's this bottom
baby.
you guys keep sweeting on?
Who's this bottom?
Bobbum? Yeah, Bobbum. Who's
Who's
Bobbum?
this bottom?
You keep talking about.
Power Stroke 3. Nothing fancy, but it'll do it. Look at him showing off for the camera.
That's a one ply? With the
Single
ring,
ply.
right?
With a big super ring behind
Yes.
here, right? I always thought it was a 2-ply head.
These probably came out, I don't know, 25 years ago, something like that. And actually, back to Bonham, I remember there's a picture somewhere that I saw of him in 1969, and if you look really closely, his front head is one of these that somebody made for him.
Really?
You can see a freaking perfect ring, and it's not a shadow from the hoop. You can see a perfect ring.
Someone put something
which-
in there.
Yeah, I'm sure whoever was teching for him at that
Is that
point
still
in time.
Aqua Tree or whatever, or was he gone?
I
then?
don't know that
Right.
he really did anything for him ever. That may be a hoax.
Oh, okay. I believe it.
So Nick, you just took a bunch of tension off that head.
Yes, because
Yeah.
this was way the fuck high. So now, bass drum, I'm backing all these off and giving them a quarter a turn. Because I always, again, try to start from the lowest point possible. And with these metal hoops, it's a totally different thing.
Yeah, we got
Full disclosure, don't have a lot of experience tuning something like this.
Right. I've never really done this before,
Yeah.
guys.
Full disc.
I guess now's
I
a good
saw
time
some
to-
videos.
I watched a couple YouTube clips on this last night. And I guess now's a good time
One
to tell
on
you
the
guys
way
that.
over in the car.
Right.
And,
Right while driving.
It's a Dr. Phil of drums, not a real doctor. So yeah, I took some off. I'm just trying to get this. For me, on kick drums, a lot of the times, like when I push down on this, I'm trying to see any shitty shit, meaning wrinkles. I'm trying to get them out.
Technical term
Shitty shit.
for those who haven't been into drums for many years. Ooh. Ooh, she's
Starting to sound like a
focused.
drum,
She's
man.
got a focus to her. Way
I'm not gonna-
wildly out of tune.
Yeah.
Even I can hear that one.
Dude, this is broke.
Yeah.
This is broken.
Bro, you got a hole in your drum.
Yeah, what the
Dude,
fuck,
you
man?
got an oval in this thing.
Yeah.
There's an egg in your bass drum.
How did I miss this?
So now wrinkles aren't always bad, but they are if they're flapping around.
That's usually when I get a divorce and pick up a younger
Oh,
model.
jeez.
When the wrinkles are flapping around.
Too many wrinkles. I'm kidding. Who's watching? Our
I'm
buddies.
kidding. You're not.
And we were talking about tension earlier. Like pushing on this, it's pretty snug, but that's not bad because I feel like a lot of people when they want shit low, they think that means the heads are supposed to be low. And we were talking about
Falling
last
off the
week, like
drum, right.
the head's job is to activate the shell. If you want that drum to resonate as a thing, you got to bring it up a little bit to get some sustain going out of
Sure.
it. Just it being at a lower tension doesn't mean it's going to sound lower. It just means it's at a lower.
Right.
Tension.
You may actually be activating the drum less and getting less excitement,
Right.
period.
And the
Just
lower the
because
heads
you're-
are, the more
right.
attack you generally get, and the
Right.
less tone you're getting out of the
At
drum.
some point, you start to lose low end too, right? Like it becomes just top end slap.
Right.
You-
It's
you've
just
dropped
the
all
stick
tension away.
hitting the head or the
Right.
beater hitting the
Right.
kick drum. We can try this thing.
Slide it in
We're
there.
moving around over here, put some legs on it.
Yeah, we got a couple.
I know
of
this
legs.
did come with a beater patch. You
Yeah,
may
so I
want
was
to put that
I
on
was
there.
gonna right. I was gonna ask you because I know that different people have very specific thoughts on these. What is yours?
This is
I
a
think I
coat-
know what you're gonna say.
This is a coated head, so I would definitely use it because it will destroy that.
Oh, it'll eat up the
Yes.
felt beater, right?
Me personally, I try to never use one. But if
Because
you're
these kind of
doing,
kill the tone
A patch,
of
you
the
mean?
head.
Never use
yeah,
a patch.
well, it's the same concept as that,
Right.
and I just don't. I've never put one on and been like, that's what I fucking want.
Right.
I want that full spread. It focuses it a little bit too much to me. But
I do agree that
if you're a super heavy-footed guy,
I
or
am.
if you're a play it through, if you're a bury the beater guy,
Which
you're
I
probably gonna have to use it, right?
Rock and roll, baby.
Which I really am. Both. I mean, it is true
Right.
on both of those.
Well,
so
I'm
probably
relatively
will go on there. You're right. It'll shave that thing down.
yeah.
to
I mean, I've
flat,
flat spotted them,
right.
which is another cool thing you
Kinda
can
sound,
intentionally
right?
do.
Right.
But with a coated head, it'll shave it.
Right.
And I had a buddy just blow right through a head in like 3 weeks. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, man? But then I realized he was
Playing the hard side of a DW
Yeah,
or something,
exactly.
then you kind of need to have it, right?
Well, and Grohl, that's his whole thing. I think they put that patch on the inside, and then he puts moleskin on the batter side
Oh, because he plays.
because
right.
he just plays
Is he
through.
playing hard side DW?
Yeah, that
plastic
too.
side, right?
Yeah.
So that thing is like.
You're just
hammer.
chewing that shit away.
Right.
But again, if that's the sound you're after,
Right. Right.
dude, there's still a hole in it.
This is all
Not
kinda
even gonna
just
fix that, huh?
placed from where she was. So I should be able to slide in. Wow, it actually gets around the DW pedal. It's kind of cool. Did not see that one coming.
I'm gonna stiff arm this camera so that people can see what
All
we
right,
have.
let's get these legs flanked out some kind of way.
Bass drum legs.
Be careful so you guys don't show your butts to the camera. Or feel free to. I don't know what you're trying to do.
Butts.
But.
The goal. This is another thing that I didn't do right, so to speak, for a long time. Once you get the pedal on it,
Which we are now on.
are you?
Yep.
Ah, Jesus! Did you tighten that?
I mean, a little bit. Is that right? Really? I didn't even put the squeeze on
Should
it.
have skipped the ramen and gone for some
Dude, I'm
Wow.
just, I mean, a lot of people don't know. I'll just say it. I'm a beast.
Oh, God.
But with the pedal on,
Right. What kind of kickback are you looking for?
I'm always. The goal is to try to get your beater to be straight up and down or close to that when it hits. You'll see a lot of people with their kick drum nose diving. Well, now you're past the point of maximum impact where you're slowing your shit down.
Right. Sure.
So
100%.
bring it up and at least try to get it level,
Right.
if not up a little bit.
Right. I
If
know
you're-
Michael likes it kicked up a little bit. He
Yeah.
likes to actually have the drum closer to the beater.
That's
in a-
what I'm
in a way.
saying.
And he notices that if someone sets it up level, that extra bit of travel throws him off because he's used to where the connection is.
Exactly right. When that
Right.
session I was talking about earlier that I did at the terrarium, I was using that 60s kick drum with the kick spurs, or the stick spurs
Oh,
as I
yeah,
call them.
yeah, yeah.
And that was nose diving, and
You
it
probably
screwed me
can't
up.
bring it up on
Right.
those or whatever.
But I
right.
still remember that screwing me up, and that was maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah, right. You're still traumatized.
Still traumatized. But yeah, get the front end, get it up a little bit. You'd be shocked at the difference that it makes.
Queen, queen, queen.
Is
that all those? Wow, they're loud,
Hit
man.
that. Man, I can hear it.
They're loud, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I might have to put the cotton balls in someday.
Now that we did all this,
Well, yeah.
No.
We're
there's
just
only
gonna-
one way to learn.
But yeah, I mean, maybe that'll just be part of the charm. Maybe it'll be cool.
I mean, once
But
they're all in and together.
That's just one drum over there, and those babies are
Well,
zing, zing.
If anything was gonna get, that was gonna be picked up in a room, this would be the room that it would get picked up in,
That's true.
because it's all
Yep.
what you have right here, and
It could
that's
add up,
it.
though. It could add up to a cool tone.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
Again, if you're bashing over stuff, who the hell knows if it's gonna be a bad thing or not?
Right.
There's been plenty of drum companies that have been making that shit like that for eons.
Right. Well, it sure looks good.
Oh, man.
Who cares how it sounds?
I've
really?
never noticed that in
It's all
my.
for YouTube
rock and
videos
roll,
anyway.
right?
I've never noticed that in my shit at home, but different room.
Zing, zing,
Yeah.
zing,
Yeah,
zing.
like,
All right, we're gonna try to see what this 18 will let us do.
this is definitely the room that will show you the truth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're not hiding in any kind of decay. You're hearing right off the shell sound.
Again, I'm just making sure I'm as low as I can go for a starting point. Again, even doing this.
Right. Yeah, we hear them. They chime. It's got to be in the lugs.
Oh, it is. It's 100%.
Yep. That's wild. It makes sense, though. It's a little spring reverb tank. Each one of those.
It's funny, like when you think about it like that, it's like, oh, yeah.
Literally what
Tiny,
it is.
just
It's a little
baby one,
metal
and now they're
enclosure with a
adding up.
spring in it. Like that's gonna get shock and it's gonna make sound. They're gonna tune up though. They seem like they respond pretty well.
That is real good.
Man, I hope this one can do a little something. I just love big drums.
He likes big drums.
And big butts.
He likes his drums like he likes his butts.
Yeah.
Well, another interesting.
Another interesting what? What were you saying?
So you got 16, 18 next to each other, which is always a challenge.
Right.
And then you have an 18 that's got a thicker shell, which is going to naturally have a higher pitch.
Right.
So you got that battle. So
Right. Again, the good news is, in the real world of recording for me, that 18 is going to be on the shelf on the other side of that house.
correct.
But it's nice to get this whole family back to up to speed.
You could have
together.
vacuumed first.
I did vacuum first.
Really?
Dog was down here.
It's a
He
dog
was down here
play.
today.
I got to bring this down. Yeah, so anybody that's watching this has never experienced this. Now we'll have a whole new appreciation for how much bullshit goes into this tuning
Right.
a
It's
kit.
not just like off.
And
it's
there's
not
no
like,
guarantee this is going to even sound good.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I love that. We just did all this
Right.
work. Let's see if it
Right.
sucks.
After all this, we can be like, oh well, this kid doesn't want these heads. It
Right.
wants emperors, or it wants something else. Because this drum set's new to us, we don't know yet. But this seems like a classic combo, so we're going to give this a shot for our, first set of heads. The next set of heads, maybe do something different. See how it responds. Go for the emperors or whatever.
I wonder how many people are like, oh, I'm into drums and watch this video and like, I'm not into drums anymore.
Too much work.
Yep.
I thought you just swing sticks and look cool.
Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate
Gotta
the
do
fact
that,
that this is real time. It's not some 6-minute edited like.
Yeah, right.
You tune this thing. It's like, no, this is how much shit goes into
Right.
it.
And
And
frankly, this is still a bit.
This is
to
still
your point
moving
earlier,
fast
This is still abbreviated.
while talking
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, right.
Right.
Trying to kind of keep it, not
Relatively together.
right.
I didn't realize how educational this would be for me today.
Right. Joe's gonna go home and become a drummer. He was a bass player last week. He's a keyboard player a week before that.
well, if you want, I think he's selling this kit for $42.50.
He told me 47.
I mean, I don't know. I have to think about it. For Joe, the price could be different.
Homie deal, 58.
We got a stick? Know where we're starting from?
That's hilarious. You got a drumstick? No.
Oh,
Did
man.
you
I
not
brought-
bring any sticks?
Hey,
either?
I brought
I
a
brought. No, I
I
have
got
my whole
stick.
bag right
Yeah,
here.
there's a,
I got it.
there's a bag right there.
No.
I was just.
Yours are dirty.
How great would that be if you guys just looked at each other like, you ain't got no sticks?
You'll get a callus just taking one of my sticks out of the stick bag.
And maybe a sliver or two.
That's what I'm saying. I got, again, man-size action.
Uh-huh.
Nick, what size sticks do you prefer to play? Just out of my own curiosity.
My favorite are 747s.
The big ones.
No, it sounds like they're going to be big, massive sticks. They're not, though.
No.
They're not. They're
It's a
thicker.
plain
They're
drum.
thicker on the
Yeah.
end of the shank. You walked into it. I just set it up for
Oh,
you.
man.
Sure did.
That's the 2 to 16 you were talking
You
about.
walked into that shank.
How come I let Brad sit here? This is
Let.
This guy.
I know,
I
right?
don't know what piece of old plastic this is. That
Give him a
just
T-shirt,
broke in my
and he
hand.
thinks
It's off of that.
king.
It's off of that.
Oh,
Standard
what?
tripod.
Oh yeah.
Those are loud drums. That
sounds
was
good, though.
really
It's
loud
getting
in the
there.
stream, I
I'd
bet.
like to hear that in the stream. Hit that thing again. Why don't you let me know?
Oh, that's gonna be loud as
Oh yeah, distorted as
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
We'll get with that.
Well,
that will be
we'll get a
readily.
dial.
We'll wait on that.
Yeah, you'll hear
Once
it
we
on
get the drum
set.
mics on. But those babies got some projection. I'll tell you that. That was loud. That was loud.
Yeah. Attacky.
My first reaction is that was loud.
God damn.
Yet another tuning tip. You always see people go around and tap. Another good thing is it's like a mini rim shot because it pulls the note out, so you can really hear.
That was a good tip. It's a hot tip, people. Don't sleep on that. Don't sleep on that finger rim shot, y'all.
My girl also.
Yeah, right. Spoken like a single dude.
Yeah, right. How are your kids?
Which ones?
Right. Haven't met them yet. I'm working on the paperwork right now, though. They should know they daddy.
It's one of my favorite fucking jokes my buddy ever said. I'm like, somebody's like, you got any kids? He's like, probably.
Couldn't tell you for sure.
Like it, however,
I don't know how he couldn't be at this point.
depends who's asking.
Yep.
You'd have to get those dampers going. I'm excited to kind of hear a little different pillow action in the kick drum.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Little
with you.
AB.
You okay,
Always
bro?
kicking it out.
It's heavy.
We're trying to put that up.
God damn. Yeah, that's your rack.
Are we gonna put
Old
them all
school.
three up? I don't have. We can't actually mic that one later on, but we can put them all three up. I think they'll almost physically fit back there.
Sure. No, I just
Yeah,
dialing them all in.
may as well just-
Or you
That's
just take it straight
I'll
to
throw
the
some
shell,
legs
to
on
be
it.
honest.
that thing doesn't want to
Yeah,
go
well,
as low as I want it to
Right.
go. So we'll see how it all.
We'll put it up for fun. When
Shakes
we
out.
fly the kid in, we'll only have mics on the 13 and 16, but we may as well just put it back there just to feel the love for a little
Right.
while.
It's gotta see
Hear
how it
what it
goes.
sounds like.
The other thing Nick was telling me about when I was first looking at these drums, which I was not hip to, is the fact that they have Ludwig mounting hardware on it, which seemed super suspect to me. But apparently, that's super common because apparently back in this era, these drums were shipped with no mounting hardware, and then could be shipped with no drilling, no mounting hardware, and then you would decide, the customer or the shop that ordered the kit would decide what to put on it when they got there, and the shop would actually drill out the tom mounts and put on whatever you wanted. This guy chose Ludwig hardware, so it's factory drilled, or I guess
bet
not
Thompson-
factory, but Thompson drilled these right after they showed up from the factory, so they haven't been changed, or hasn't been a modification. There's no extra holes. These are the only tom mounts that have ever been on here from the 70s, and they are period correct Ludwig 70s tom mounts and bass drum legs. Kind of interesting that's how it was optioned from
That
new.
81 Gretsch kit I had Pro hardware on it.
And
Right.
as soon as you lift that thing up, like he tapped on the 16, and that thing was just, I could hear it
Took
ringing
off.
over as soon as you took it up.
Oh, she's a big Betty. Yeah, there's not a lot of room for
I was
two
gonna say,
toms
how are
back
you
there.
gonna get that back there?
Come on, bitch.
It won't really work, but it'll kind of work fine. Oh, we got a couple snare heads. We can do a snare. Gotta do that Emperor X, man. Zach Lynn's got me back on that Emperor X. That's how he gets that sound that he gets, and I love what he's getting.
I still got to give you the super secret head, which is the.
Super secret. You sure you want to talk about it on stream?
I was gonna say.
Shut these cameras off.
It's
right now.
you can order it. It's a what the hell is it called?
It's that secret you don't even
Coated
remember.
Emperor CS dot.
Coated Emperor CS dot.
Yeah.
I got a warehouse full of those. But
I didn't even know that was a thing. That's a magic one. Coated Emperor CS dot. So it's a 2-ply dot.
But
Snare.
the X is two 10 mil plies with a 5 mil dot, where the Emperor is two 7 mil plies.
Got it. I do like what the Emperor X does. If you can hit it hard
Yeah.
and you hit it right like that, it sings in a certain way. If you're a rim shot, really meaty hitter, it's not super sensitive. It is kind of like hitting a brick wall. Not the funnest drum head to play.
Right.
But if you're just going for that big backbeat thing, it will.
You know who uses one of those? Jason Bonham.
Does he?
All those dudes do.
Yeah, I suppose. It's a rock and roll snare drum.
It
man.
definitely
And it
is.
will last for a while. Foster staying over here. But, yeah. Oh,
excited to hear these things kind of all together and hear, tweak it up and yeah. Oh man. To hear them sing a little bit would be nice. Man, still see a little. It's kind of like fun to sit and watch this from an angle because when you keep talking about like, oh, this wrinkle and that wrinkle, it's like, oh yeah, like from over here.
You can see them.
Mhm.
Sure.
And then like, oh, I'll get that wrinkle out by hitting this log over.
Well, and you
here.
can hear, like, I've brought this up maybe a half of a step, and the difference between that lower half a step where it's all mushy, and then all of a sudden you get this clean note.
Sings a little bit better.
And then you play them, and you hit the hoop 3 times, and everything goes out of tune.
That's the other problem, right? That's like, okay, done. Just kidding.
Tap gave up. That's it. He's done.
Yeah, he left. It's his house.
Taking it down.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
He's like, I'm over this shit. Shut off the lights when you guys are done. We were talking about this a lot, kind of go. I mean, you guys had talked about the idea, and he was pitching to me, and we have done a couple of these like long format Saturday things, and to your point earlier, I really think there is something about like watch that drum, this stuff in real time. That was wow. Seeing this stuff in real time and how much really goes into it. Because again, if you were actually getting your drums ready for a session or a big whatever,
Right.
it's
a lot of work.
This is probably half of what you're actually doing, or maybe.
Right. And again, like, you tune all this shit and play it in here and it freaking sound great, and you can bring it to somewhere else that you're actually recording and it sound like shit, or be too live or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the good news is these drums are living in here, so we can get them dialed right and for the room.
Right, because they're not going really much of anywhere. I might take these over to Flowers to do a thing because I want to hear these over there.
Yeah.
I already talked to KJ about it, and he was like totally down. KJ, who's usually the voice of reason, when I told him about this kit, was like, "Go get it, dude." It's like, "Oh, you too?"
I already talked to
Yeah.
Nick, and he was like, "Yeah, man."
I mean, he really usually is the one to be like, "What are you gonna do with another drums? Your drums are great. You got 70s Ludwig, whatever." But he just was definitely on that. Like, it was like worst case scenario, you shine them up and enjoy them for 6 months and flip them and make a bunch of money on them. They're too cheap. Like, well, you're not wrong.
It's kind of like the Telly to a Gibson.
Sure, right. That's a great
Between
flavor.
the two kits.
And I was telling Joe the other night, it really is true. Like, as a younger dude, like, thinking down the line of, like, if I was going to have my own studio or my own home studio or whatever, and if I was going to have some drum sets around, what would they be? It's like, I would want a vintage Ludwig set, and I would want a vintage Gretsch set. And now I'm, like, fortunate enough to have those two things. Like, it's pretty cool. Like, it's part of growing up. You actually get to buy the toys you wanted when you were younger and have them now.
We talk about that a lot, man. It's often
Right.
good to think back and be like, what would 13-year-old me think of this?
The younger me would like a black Gretsch kit. Like that's crazy money. You're never gonna have that or whatever.
No.
But that would be cool.
No, I think one of the 3 catalogs I have of my dad's from the 60s is a Gretsch kit.
Oh.
There's a Ludwig kit, and then I think a Slingerland kit.
Yeah, right.
So it was always
So you
one of
got
the
hooked
3 I
on
wanted too.
Big time stuff right away. Right.
I like Slingerland kits, man. My buddy Sean used to have a Slingerland kit. It's
Like
not
some great finishes.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's some really cool finishes.
Yeah. A nice oyster, I like.
Gretsch always just felt like somehow like. Even though Ludwig, I think, has always been kind of the most brand popular or whatever,
Yep.
Gretsch has always felt like the Cadillac of drums or something like the most prestigious or like they're actually the nicest drums made.
Well, what did we say
Whether or not
yesterday?
that's true, it's just like that's been the vibe for many years.
If you were rolling out to buy a new drum set tomorrow and like generally speaking money was
Brand
not a
new.
concern, yeah. It's
Right.
like, I'm like, okay, I'll go get like a broadcaster or something like
I'd buy a new Gretsch drum set for sure.
Right.
Right.
I read that half the reason all the jazz cats liked these was the cast hoops. Partially because of the sound, but also because you could just roll them around and they were indestructible.
Right. Well, sure.
Versus
yeah,
a
they don't
triple
fly
flange,
around.
like it wouldn't go around. Like
Yeah,
throw them in
right.
the back of a cab and whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
They make the drums stronger because they are that much stronger.
Right.
They
So you
give
see
the
all
drums
those
some
old jazz
reinforcement.
kits, and they usually look like they've had the shit kicked out of them.
Right.
Well, it's not like they're rolling it into a trailer and then hopping on the bus. You know what I mean?
No,
It's
they're
going
just going in the
back
back of a New York taxi.
Right.
Trying to get in on the stream, buddy.
Remember-
It's gonna get. Ooh, wow. That's just. They sing.
Yeah.
I can already tell they sing.
How you doing?
What's up with this fool? What's up with this fool?
They sing.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to hear them all together. So here's a question: like sub-kick microphone on the kick drum. Wait, what? With that big hole in it, like.
Oh, it'll still be good.
Yeah.
In fact,
But in terms
Might
of
be
like
better.
placement,
Right.
in terms of placement, are you still like, were you trying?
Maybe you tunnel it and put it out here.
I put it still same spot. What's nice is the fact that shit's so big. I can actually probably get
Hey, I'm
the
busy.
sub kick and the other mic like really in phase because I can put them in a line.
Right. Star of the stream right here.
I like the fact that it does give you tons of options to like pull different stuff in and out of there for either
That's-
microphones or padding or whatever. Like having a giant hole like that.
Working through a little like 4-inch hole or whatever.
There we go.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
Right.
it sucks.
Can be.
So I've been messing with this now for what, 10 minutes?
Right.
And now it finally
You hit something, unlock the
finally
spot.
got,
You just had to get there.
and I don't know how I got there. I
I
just
mean,
kept
I know how
fucking
you
with
can
it.
rewind the
You can watch the
footage
video. That's what's gonna do. You'll learn something today.
from you.
You're welcome.
From you.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, people on the stream, we'll get the mics tightened up.
Yeah, yeah. We'll be on close mics once we get everything moved over to that side of the world.
What are you doing?
Putting stuff on stuff. Just trying to get some kind of
Ollie
feel
came
for
into the
it.
stream, we got like 40 new viewers. He stepped out of frame, they all left.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice
that's
surprise
how
there.
that works. It's a dog's thing. Dog's life. How's it gonna be trying to get a 16 and an 18?
It's not. It's not.
That ain't happening. Is
Might
it?
be too
Not
tight.
if you want to also sit
Scratch.
back there.
I'm gonna let you battle that while I take a 2-minute break.
Do
Yeah,
your
go for it.
thing.
It almost works. If this overhead stand moved a tad. It's pretty close, actually.
A little bit of that working through here. Yeah, you're kind of. Oh, it is tight, but you're in there.
It's very tight, but it's close.
But you are in there.
And this rack, or rather, seems like it's pretty close to where it would be. Without having the full.
Hey, bud. Easy. You gotta go see Nick. You worried that he's out there by himself? Now watch. I'll close the door. He'll turn around and be like, "I'm trying to come in." There he is. Snare drum, Black Beauty.
Oh yeah, I might put a fresh head on that too. Yeah, this is just that tight, but again, that drum is never really going to be in there, short
Yeah,
of
it's
just
just
for
there to
fun
be
for
in there
now,
for right now.
because we got it.
I'm kind of excited to hear the big pillow that he's got.
Spin up a new head on this Black Beauty, and just get this whole sound that we're talking about together.
We're just about to play.
Or maybe we'll do it on that one for now, because he loves that. I'll do it on
It's back here.
Should I fill this up just to get out of the way for right now?
that. Yeah, and then I bet knowing you, you want to put a fresh head on the Black Beauty or the Supra?
You tell me which one needs it worse.
Yeah, this one definitely needs it worse. So we'll just do this one.
And
I may do the Black
Still to
Beauty
this
as
day,
well.
I've never goddamn look at that.
I mean, that doesn't look bad. I'll tell you that.
No, I was gonna say I've never heard a bad sounding Supra in my entire life.
But I think that we'll put a freshie on this one because it does need it, and then we'll
Yeah,
just
that's
be
fine.
in fresh land. We could throw you up a set of cymbals. I'm sure you're going to want to do some drum keying in place.
Yes.
I will throw up the close mics Maybe we'll pull the 18 out of there. I don't know. I'm not going to have a mic for it either way. Because it doesn't really matter. It's pretty freaking sandwiched in back there. But
Brad, can you hand me my
probably
phone?
live there for now, just to
Just
have
leave
it.
it there. It's out of the way.
Right. Good towel rack. Keep these old meanies around. Yeah, I mean, just for general. Sorry to the stream for the room mic. I'm just to hear them in position. I'm just curious what we got.
Pretty good scale.
Pretty musical. Pretty long and singing, but I mean, floor toms have nice notes, like, and good bottom for small room. Do have they have a feel.
Side loose tight thing, right? That would be great. Springs. Bring that beater up. Like close. Okay, now push it.
Yeah, they're definitely different than the Ludwig.
100%.
Definitely different than Ludwig's. I can't exactly pinpoint or say how I would qualify that, but they're different. And you know what?
They're clean and very direct.
I'll put a new head on this one while you put a new head on that one. Why not?
Okay.
Because I feel like they both. I just want to put these Emperor X's on both of these for now. Just to get them doing that thing.
So I suppose we should keep talking about tuning.
We sure can, right? Yeah. What do you peek at the bottom after you take the top head off? I very rarely change the bottom heads on snare drums.
Which,
You know, you put that bottom head on here when I bought this drum from you.
Right.
That's why it's in Evans.
I would. Same thing. Where's the Sharpie?
There you go. Yep.
I would always do that because I think bottom snare heads and wires, like these wires are shot.
I know all my wires are shot.
In my opinion.
Right.
Because they're overstretched, because I think a lot of times wires get way over tightened because they start to wear out, so then you tighten them and then.
I think like all my snare wires are tight. It just happens, right? They get used a lot around here.
But I had a super expensive snare drum at one point in time that I hated because I couldn't get it to sound right, and then I put a new bottom head on it, and it was immediately my favorite drum because it's doing a lot of work. I mean, all the snare is coming from this, and you'd be shocked at how much tone comes from that.
Yeah. No, I got it.
You sure?
Yeah. I'm old school, dude. I can feel it.
I have found G is a magical note for a bottom head.
Oh yeah? You just got it like that? Gee.
This is close. It's right on it. It seems to be, at least in my experience, I think a lot of people either don't tighten it enough or it's way countertop tight. You should still be able to push and get some give. And at that note, you get the perfect amount of tone and response. These, for anybody that's not in the know, lug locks. Still the best damn things.
I like those stupid things in the studio. I mean, I hit drums hard. They do move.
I can't play a snare drum without them.
Right.
Without dropping bottom lugs.
Yeah. The lugs do move.
When I'm removing stuff like this even with a drill, I still try to crisscross pattern.
Right. Just so you don't bend the rim on the way
Right,
out,
you're not putting a shitload of tension on one side all at the same time. We didn't do this on those because you already had those taken apart, but I always would use a paper towel or a rag and wipe the bearing edge down.
Right. Make sure there's
You'd be shocked, especially with metal drums, how much
wood chips and just shit
it just builds up in there, and the last thing you want to do is wreck that.
Thick head. You can hear it. Boom, boom. I like them though. right, no more drum heads for a while. Good lord. A lot of fear.
Brad, you still haven't had any questions.
We're saving the good ones
Oh, okay.
Brad just
for
knows.
the next guy.
He just knows what's up. Yeah, this is just a test run. We got a real drummer coming in here next week. And we're gonna actually do this shit. Big black ratchet kit. Looks good to me. Looks real good.
Imagine it with them gold hoops.
Yeah, I can't quite tell if I'm in on the gold hoops or not.
Natural would be better.
Natural would probably be the move. I think a natural set of hoops is the move.
If you wanted to know what they look like, you just take the ones off of mine and put it on there.
All right. Just to see.
But then I'd have to retune it, and I don't want to do that.
Did you take them out?
Yeah,
Nice.
he needed to.
Nice work, bud.
So now you're supposed to be talking about what you're doing too.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm doing the same thing you just did, but yeah, just kind of I'm getting everything finger tight, going around. Same thing, kind of star pattern.
So a point that we haven't
One on
talked
each
about.
side.
These are both Remo Emperor X, which is an extremely thick head with a
Right.
dot.
Right, this is a thick head, yeah.
The thicker the head is, the more tension it takes to get to the same
Right.
pitch,
Right.
not unlike a guitar. So sometimes you'll think that, man, I'm gonna blow this drum out, but
Right. No, you got plenty to go. Right?
My
got-
point earlier, that's like,
And these heads are strong, so you're
yeah,
not
these are
blowing
strong
them,
heads,
right.
but like it takes. I use an X14, which is a single ply, 14 mil head.
Oh yeah, I've tried that thing. I didn't like it.
yo, Zach's Rust in the house. Joseph, is it Robidoux or Robidoux?
Yeah, Robidoux, yep.
What is a great home small setup for drum samples or playing and recording track before a studio session? What
For drum samples?
is a great home small?
I have the perfect answers to this. You buy a cheap ass kit for like $100 and put mesh heads on it.
Oh sure.
Oh right.
Yamaha has the Yamaha EAD 10,
Mm-hmm.
which my bandmate Ted and Exactly Know just bought.
Yeah, people are talking about this EAD 10. I haven't tried it.
And there's a mic that clips onto the bass drum that's also a trigger, and then it will pick up all the sounds, but you're still silent playing. That's what he does at home. I have his
Pretty
at my house.
responsive, feels.
Yeah,
Yeah, apparently it's pretty cool.
because you're
Everyone's
playing a real
talking
kit
about
that
it.
doesn't make any noise, and then he bought low volume practice cymbals.
The Zildjian like
Yeah, any of the ones with like
perforated ones
7,000.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, those are honestly those feel pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
not bad.
good.
The EAD 10, I literally only started messing with it this week. It's cool as shit what that thing does and how it works. It's super simple, but it's amazing how good of a mix you get, even with a little bit of sample added in if you need to.
Sure,
Enough to do demos and stuff if you're
That's
trying
perfect.
to
Evan and I were talking about getting
There
some
you
of
go,
those
Joseph.
low volume Zildjians for the studio.
Yeah, man.
The hi-hats.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like track the drum set, have a close mic on the hi-hats, but remove the hi-hat from the rooms and the snare
Oh, that'd
kind
be
of.
sick.
Just track those
They
little
have-
tiny crispy hi-hats.
Look, man, I get like for what they are and everything. I really like the sound of those hi hats. Like just
Right.
Right, they're
Whatever,
real crispy
they
and
sit-
small,
yeah.
right. But think about like
A closed
track a full
hi-hat,
drum
those things
set, put a tight mic on that so you can amplify that to whatever, but not have it bleeding.
right.
I've thought about trying that.
That would be pretty cool, man. Jeremy, just real quick, while Nick's getting this set up, I mean, let's talk through maybe your kind of general drum mic situation,
Oh, sure.
perhaps.
Yeah, I gotta move some anyway, so we'll do that. But it's pretty simple, and we're gonna keep it extra simple today because we're down here and because we're talking about just the drums in general. We're not gonna set up any like distant mics or room mics, or sometimes I have a mic way out in the kitchen. We're not doing that today. But, right, so once the drum heads and stuff get changed, you gotta get the drums in position, and then you gotta mic the drums. So we'll do that right now. I use this Bayer. I've been using this Bayer thing. I forget what model it is as my kick drum mic lately. TGX 50. I've got a handful of different bass drum mics. I've been liking this one. Now that we have a new drum in here to record, it might be worth doing a new shootout at some point. seeing if one of my other microphones would be better, you know.
Right.
But we're gonna just go with what we've been using for now. So we put this in. I keep him pretty far back and a little bit off center. I'm just gonna put him like that, and then sub kick on the outside.
Sub kick on the outside. And so the hole doesn't really change your thought about.
No, I mean it's still gonna. I mean it's gonna hear it, everything and everything. It's gonna hear the back head just fine. The no hole means less note, less resonance, but it's not gonna change the way that the speaker's hearing that much.
This cable. Is that sub kick? Did you make that one?
No, that's a Yamaha sub kick that just got recovered in silver because I didn't like the brown Yamaha color. So we bought some silver wrap and did that. And I had at the time I had a silver DW kit.
Yeah,
so
that
it kind of
matches.
matched and did a thing.
Do you want me to tune this one for you too?
Yes, please.
You just walk
That's what you're
away.
getting paid for, bro.
Right, exactly. That's what
But
you're not getting paid for.
Yeah, no shit.
So yeah, we got the Buyer
Welcome to
in,
the studio.
sub kick out. I like these old Audio Technica ATM 25s on toms. I think they sound awesome, and they're small. They get in there nice. So, you know, I don't have a third one, so we're not going to have one on the big 18
Well, like we
today.
were saying earlier, that's probably not even
Right,
gonna be
that
in
thing
here.
won't really live there other than we got it, so we're going to put it there. But yeah, so the ATM 25s, I always do this kit mic or crotch mic or whatever, different people call it different stuff, right above, so I'll leave him up.
It's kind of the magic mic
Yeah.
in my
can-
experience.
it
Yeah,
can-
I've heard people
can
call
be
it so
very
many
helpful.
things, and it's like everybody knows that mic is like.
Well, that's the same. The Yamaha EAD10. That's where that mic is sitting in. You
Right,
can get
it's
everything
Kind of,
there.
it's kind of a center
Right.
spot of toms, bass drum, snare drum. Hopefully
Without the
not
cymbals
too many
blowing it out.
cymbals,
right.
Yeah, so I always have that kind of right over the kick drum pointed in. Sometimes pointed, I moved that, but that's always there. 57 on the hi-hat. Onyx i5, which is just like a 57, but kind of a variant of a 57 on the snare top. I got this little pad that is basically one of those Stedman width screens with some foam, and there's a sheet of like mass-loaded vinyl or like sound blocks with a really thick piece of rubber in here too. I try to keep that sometimes here to just help keep the hi-hat out of the snare mic. Constant battle. I don't know if it helps. It might help a little bit.
So that's not necessarily so somebody doesn't whack the mic, but more. So
Yeah,
to
right.
keep hi-hat
That,
rejection.
right. This mic, you can whack the shit out of this mic. It'll be fine. This is to try to keep hi-hat bleed out of that mic. Hi-hat bleed in a snare mic is forever problems.
Right.
Yeah, 57 on the hat. Already said that. Sometimes I have a ride mic. Today I don't. I'm trying these Kells for the overheads lately. And that's it. We're not doing any room mics or any distant mics, so it'll just be tight mics. Minus the big 18 doesn't have its own mic, but that's what we'll be hearing today.
Nice. So there you go, people. Now you know.
Right. And then we'll add the room mics and all that other stuff at some point.
See if I can get this back. There's a real pro camera action here. It's funny, man. Like I do have like gimbals and stuff for this that we can do, but like, not for this. Not for this. What has he put? Oh, Emperor X. Right. I knew that.
He likes these a lot.
He loves those, man.
I think they're okay.
Ha. Tell us what you really think about them.
No, I think they're okay. They're too thick for me.
What would you put on a Black Beauty then, if it was your Black Beauty?
Same thing that I've said all day. It depends on the drum.
Right.
Probably just a regular Emperor.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, they do sound amazing under a mic, and if you're beating the shit out of it, it just takes a lot of energy to get them to open up.
I mean, and part of that is like remembering too that like this is a studio setting.
Correct.
For a studio setting. So all those choices are being made as such. That's a good point.
Well, even when I was fucking around with that EAD10 last night, it's like the ride was just screaming through it because of the compression, so it made me just back out of the ride. That's another reason I think that product could be a great tool for drummers to prep, because it makes you very aware of how this shit's gonna sound when you're going to the studio and back off of some stuff.
Instead of fucking, play it harder. Like
Yeah, I
bashing
mean,
your power hand or
I can
whatever.
listen back to like that ambi-dance shit and be like, man, they should have played the cymbals about 30% as hard as you were.
But you don't need to do all that.
Let the mics
but
do it.
That's the hardest thing. You know, when I was living out west, I was playing drums way more, and I would sit in a room and it's like, okay, I've been playing the song, I've been the song, all right, now I gotta play the song, and I really want to hear like heavy snare hand, right? I'm trying to bring everything out, but I can't beat the shit out of the hi-hat. Like,
Right.
that's such a hard thing to do, man. To
Yeah.
keep this hand light and really come in with the heat, you know, is like, I don't know how people do that. A lot of years, a lot of
That's the
practice.
magic. Right.
Yeah, but that for sure is a lot of the
What
difference.
separates the boys from the men.
That and just listen.
Yeah, right. I'll have to check out the Yamaha piece you're talking about. That sounds cool.
It's like $500.
Just is like a mic that you
A
put
lot of
in
dudes
there?
are starting to talk about this piece. I haven't checked it out
Well,
yet.
and it came out 3 years ago. This isn't new,
What?
but
Yamaha
you can.
makes it.
Yeah,
Now
you
that
can,
everybody's at home, they're checking
that's
it out.
exactly. And you
Tell
can
Bland to get it.
play along to a song, and it'll play the click for you. It'll give you an 8 lead into any song, an 8-click lead into it, and you can
and it
sync.
picks the tempo and finds it.
You can
It
download
syncs
an
it up.
app on your phone, and then you can sync the video and all of it together.
Wow.
It's
You're
like
instant
the amount of
YouTube
shit.
star.
Well, put it this way, you know Ted and how big of a gear nerd he
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
He'll
yeah.
blow any of us out of this room. And he got it, and it was like, this is the most impressive thing I've probably gotten
Long
in
time.
a
Everyone's
very,
singing its
very long
praises,
time.
man.
That's
Yeah.
cool, man.
It's cool.
Ooh,
I am indeed curious.
I'm excited to hear some drums.
Just,
Oh, we got here.
yeah, this 18 is pretty much just up here. It's a little bit, but-
We should sneak, at least for starters, this thing.
I
in
want to
there.
hear the. I mean, we should
Oh yeah,
hear
feel
them
free to
both,
start
right?
however.
We'll
Yeah,
start.
go, feel free to do it, man. When you're
start-
done with that
yeah,
snare
right?
drum, why don't you hop in there?
I'm still waiting for my lunch.
Bro, you don't get a lunch? This isn't a union gig. What are you talking about? You probably think you got benefits too, huh?
There's none of that. There won't be any of that.
Are you following Brad? We need a doggy door in here, bro. You're worse today than ever. Right back where he was. Yeah, I'm kind of excited to hear the pillow. I was saying when I think you were out of the room, but I'm excited to hear that big guy. The big pillow. Sorry, people.
Is that my pillow? Or?
No, it's not.
Fuck that guy.
While you're doing that, I'm going to eat this.
That
Go
guy
do your
is
thing, man.
Really something else.
I'll rotate out. Boom. I mean, you're still in there, but
Wow.
hop in. Snack Saturday.
Because we don't have a symbol on there anyway, it doesn't really matter for now. But
You're just gonna go ride.
yeah, well, alright, we'll just keep it. More about some drums.
I'm excited to
I
hear
can
some
see-
close mics.
See
on these.
better. But about a little.
So, I'm gonna pull this out.
What's up, doggy? Trying to come in or out? What do you want to do, bud?
You can't decide.
Clean up here just cause the kit looks good. No sound.
Probably a minute or two. I just opened that shit up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't that long. Couple minutes. 2 minutes.
Right.
We're back, Andrew. I don't know why. Probably more like that. I didn't even realize it, obviously.
So I'm turning on the close mics, so the stream should now have the close mics.
Skippy's live too.
All right, so my talkback is on and close mics are on. The 414 is off. And I can control my talkback and or Joe's talkback, which is off right now. That way we're trying to I'll try to not bleed the drums and the close mics together too bad. Or the my talkback and the drums.
Is none of that coming out of 1, 2, huh? That's alright.
Yeah, but it needs to. I need it to anyway, so now it should be there, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, it should be. So that's going out router. Yeah. Yeah, I see stuff.
Just on the move here, no problem.
Yeah, I think this will be working. And my talkback is still on. Yep.
I don't have anything out of my head. Do you hear shit? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, drums. Just forever tuning. Always tuning.
When is it safe to make noise?
You're good for noise.
Not blowing shit out.
Nope, you won't blow anything out. You can put your headphones on. You should have some general drums in your headphones. It would just be on the last knob, the mix knob. Yeah, they're lively, that's for sure. Oh, yeah, I will do my best to remember to turn my talk back off for the stream when we're listening. Yeah, there's a lot of those jokes out there, you know.
Now that I'm sitting here with the whole thing as a cohesive unit, trying to get a little more action out of this 13. Seems a little choked.
Give you some action.
Some of this old shit like this too, or less consistent stuff. One lug will do more than all the other ones.
Sure.
Like I'm almost tuning this not in tune because when it was in tune it didn't sound right. So now I'm trying to find the one that makes the difference.
Right.
That's both on. But that goes to show that's just the resonant head. That's how much your tone's coming from that. That feels really good. Let's try that on this. So now, that's why I'm here. Just a couple. No, these are the things that we've used these before tap. These snare weights.
Yeah.
This little guy, the floaty guys,
Right.
does.
Sorry, stream. We'll just have to pretend we can hear Nick.
You not hear through the overs?
Yeah, I mean, some, not well, I bet. But yeah,
Takes out just enough of that zing,
that helped a lot.
and you can open it up,
Right.
Yeah, wow.
Nice little touch.
and
Yep.
you can adjust it so there's like a halfway spot too, which is maybe the happy.
Yeah, right.
It's just
Sounds
like
good wide on too.
it's like putting your thumb on it and just letting a little bit of that bullshit come out.
Yeah, nice adjustable instead of just like moon gel, right?
I like that there.
Little
There's dot
static.
hair all over the
That's additional dampening.
That's custom.
14-inch ring?
Yeah,
Right.
but it does a thing.
Right.
Right,
It does.
Dad?
It tightens it up. Yep.
Or even the old tea towel trick,
Paperclip, yeah.
binder clips. I still think, in my experience, like this and those are all better than moon gels because these freaking move.
Yeah, right.
So it's like a gate and then it opens it up.
Right.
Instead of just takes all those overtones out, but it doesn't make it sound like you're sitting on it.
Yeah, it still resonates.
Right.
Yeah. That does help quite a bit.
And they make these that are like this big too.
Oh, sure. Right.
So you can put them
Bigger
on the bigger
sizes,
shit.
sure.
Yeah, I like these on snare drums a lot as well.
Yeah, those are cool. Toys.
Choice.
Details.
Who wanted us to put up the Black Beauty and then the Supra? No, I think it was Joe.
Oh, Jeremy Horn. Yeah, yeah. The guy who sold my console too. He wanted to hear the
That's
difference.
right. Like play it frickin' 10 seconds or something? Or Supra.
So the first one was the Black Beauty of mine.
Yep.
Then you had a hand-hammered Supra of yours with it.
This is your Supra.
Oh, that was my Supra. So same head, two different drums. I thought for some reason, I thought you had a different drum back there. Gotcha.
That one's over there still.
Right. So that's the AB between a 6.5 Supra and which is an older Supra.
Yes.
And then my Black Beauty is a more modern, I don't know, maybe 15 years old or 2000, maybe 2000-ish. 15, 20 years old. The Supra is a 70s one. I could feel the bottom in the Black Beauty from here versus a little bit more throaty snap out of the Supraphonic for sure.
Exactly right.
Yep. Both sound cool. I like that Black Beauty.
Yeah, sitting right here, that felt better.
Mm.
The Black Beauty.
Yep. Felt better
I
from
usually go the other way.
felt better from here to me as well. Nick, in case you can't hear Nick when he's talking back there on the drum mics, he said that the Black Beauty felt a little better back in the position as well. Same low end and just kind of enhancement.
Jeremy said they're both great.
Both sound good out in the real world, Jeremy. I want to see some pictures of that studio, man. I saw some of the framing in the looked like maybe the soffit area in front of the console in the control room. And I've just seen a bunch of the photos in general. It looks really great, man. I can't wait to see your finished product. It looks awesome.
Everybody prefers the Black Beauty.
Everyone likes there's something about the Black Beauty. There really is. What does everyone think of the kick and toms? We can't hear the 18. I don't have a mic on it because, like I said, it very rarely gets used. It's usually a two-tom studio. My inputs are just kind of set up that way. I think they sound cool. They're very alive. They're very bright and alive compared to the Ludwigs, which are kind of low and slow. These seem like a little more snappy. I could see doing some big Phil Collins fills on those toms. just need to order up some toms. We'll start looking for 70s black wrap Gretsch toms for me. I need concert toms. I need them all. I need every piece. Collect them all. What do you think about the old kit, Nick? Liking it?
I think it's cool. I think we should do a kick drum shootout between that Evans pillow that's in there and then put that weighted kick pillow in there and see what.
Let's do it. And I will. So before we change, we got the Evans in there right now, right?
Yep, just one.
So why don't you do? In a second here, I will mute my mic. I'm going to roll Pro Tools. We'll record this too, so I can actually. I want to be able to listen back, not through headphones and see, but. Maybe play some solo hits, some single hits, and then play a little bit of a beat.
Oh, I thought you meant like drum solo.
Oh yeah. Play a drum solo. Play a hit drum solo.
Watch out, the floor lifts up and you'll spin upside down and shit. So
my best rendition of Inagata Vita.
Give it just give it a couple quarter notes and then give it a beat, and then we'll do the swap and we'll do the same thing, and then we'll be able to actually listen back and review as well, solo up and stuff. So I will turn off our mics now and go ahead and do your thing. Nice. All right. So now let's switch it and see what happens.
You have to pull it all out bag. But.
I'm just trying to save you a little bit.
Yeah, see if you can, I guess, move what you have to. But
The Emperor X on here is good on the Black Beauty.
yeah, that's what Zach was saying. He's like, I get it. You got to meatball it, but if you are, it gives it.
Right.
It gives it that low end. It gives it that studio sound right away, kind of. It's true.
I just want to go take a nap on this thing. I might.
So do you touch it to the heads? Do you just set it on the shell?
I touched it. I ran it this way. Long way.
All right, Jeremy, I gotta.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I did that with a sub kick too.
That would be the one to move, right?
I'll
Try
get
to
you
not
back.
move the other
I
one.
didn't want to mess with the.
Right. That'll keep us.
Okay, so you do her the long way, eh?
And touch both heads a little bit?
Yeah.
Got it.
Especially if you had a full front head.
Right. Full
I
frontal.
just wanna grab this mic cable. There we go. How's that feeling?
Start pounding.
Just right while his face is in there.
Guys, like, I'm not.
So many drummers do that to sound guys and studio guys, and it's so bad. Don't do that. Right. Right. If you're a drummer, whether you're in the studio or at a gig, don't blast the guys. It sounds better with that weight in there, doesn't it?
It's crazy too, like how freaking different it feels.
Oh, I believe that.
It feels like that's why I'm like, I want to do all this fast.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. Yep. I did this, like I said, we did a sandbag at the power station. Same thing. It just felt like it was so solid. Like you could jump up and down you could jump off your stool and land on the pedal. And it would just give you more and not choke up. Like it just felt like an immovable object or whatever. So I believe that. That's funny that weight, even though it's barely touching the heads, there's not much front head. There's not.
And you're talking a 24, so there's a lot of drum.
But it kills the shell down. It drops the note down. It just does something.
Which is weird. Because contrary to everything else, the thicker stuff usually is the higher the pitch goes.
Right.
So if you're adding weight, you'd think it would go up.
Right. Yeah, pretty cool. All in all, I don't know. What would you change? Do we have the right heads on this kit for what it is right now? Probably. Yeah. And now we dial the Ludwigs in differently?
Probably.
And put what on the Ludwig kit? I got my mic open. Yeah, right. That might help, right? I don't know. Coated Emperors, maybe. I always
Probably.
liked a Coated Emperor.
Go a totally opposite direction.
Right. Coated 2-ply versus this thing, right?
It's
Have these live and bright.
It's
They're-
crazy though, the resonance in these when you're talking over there, these are singing.
Dude,
I know.
I was hearing it when I was sitting back.
Which
there.
is good because you can take it out. You
I
can't
get
put
it.
it back.
It's good and bad because
Right.
it is my control room, which means when I'm playing music down here, those babies are going to be jumping.
Sure. You throw a pillow or a
Yeah,
towel.
Yeah,
or-
yeah, which is what happens. Throw blankets on them or whatever.
Right.
But, yeah, man, I don't know.
I think it's sweet. I think the kick hoops suck, but I think it's
The
sweet.
kick hoops are a little funky. The metal hoops are
New
funky.
one's on the way.
Yeah, we'll order
Almost.
them. Other than that, I don't know. Is that the episode? Is there more? Is there
I mean,
you know?
we recap a little bit. There was a lot of work that went into just getting to this point, and now you're kind of ready to play and jam out.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell too because everything feels so live right now. God, it's crazy.
Dude, I
Just
can
talking.
hear
Yeah,
it
right.
here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're wide open, right? There's no dampening.
Well, it's wide open, and again, this room in this corner, it's like this room is tight. You hear everything,
It's tight.
and there's not a big buildup of low end to help mask that.
Right.
So, is it bad? No. Would I run dampening? Probably. Would I in a big room? Maybe.
Right.
Same thing.
Right,
'Cause
sure.
This space isn't about room mics. This space is about close mics. So
Right.
you have to bring this shit in a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to hear the play, but the people have heard it because they're just.
Oh, right. Yeah, we can actually turn the speakers up and
Playback a
hear
little
the
bit.
difference between the A and B
Yeah.
on the kick drum, and just hear these through the speakers, which we haven't really done yet. We hear them in the rooms. We got headphones on, but
Right.
yeah, well, we'll take a listen to those couple with the two different bass drum mufflings, and we'll just check it out.
Yeah, all right, we're gonna do that on the stream.
You can leave that up, I guess, or either way.
Do you have Mute-O-Matic on your stream?
Mute-O-Matic will still mute everything, right? Because it's all coming in together. So. Let's see. So we just recorded straight in. I think, no compression on anything other than that kit mic that's right over the bass drums. Got a little bit of compression. That's it. No EQ. Just preamps and microphones. So let's see. This first chunk is before we went to the weighted pad. The second chunk is the weighted pad. We get to hear these back a little bit. A whole lot of play, but
No. Just that Phil, but still.
Um,
15 sounds great.
so with the pad, without the pad.
Softer.
Yeah, man.
So this is amazing. So this was just the Evans EQ light, real light pad. Same exact everything with the weighted pad.
The sub and without a sub.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It just focuses the low end. It adds low end. It tightens it up while boosting it. That's amazing. That's an amazing. I'll do it one more time. I don't know how well it translates in the stream. Hopefully it does. And maybe
Big difference here.
we'll take it a step even further. I'm going to solo up just the Bayer kick mic. So just the dynamic mic, no sub kick, no other drum mics. Let's just hear that soloed A and B. So first is the Evans. Second is, what's the company that makes the weighted one? We should say it for them, right?
It's called a Kick Pro.
Kick Pro, which is a weighted kick drum pillow. So again, I'll solo the inside mic. We'll do all the mics again too, but soloed kick in with the Evans, and then I'll flip to the second playlist, which is the Kick Pro. That was a kick out. Sorry, kick in. And then Kick Pro. And back. This has like a mid-range kind of flop to it. This just focuses it up. And then, so I'll go back to all the mics. Evans. Kick Pro. It adds a lot of impact. It's really great. So let's hear these drums again with old Harry Happyfoot. With this is the full kit with the Kick Pro pad in there. Yeah, I like the kick pad. I'm sold on that. That's a helper. The toms do the natural reverb thing. Like even though you're not playing any toms in here, like it kind of gives it the big room sound. Like if I turn these toms off and we listen to that same passage. Still actually breathes pretty well.
Considering it's all close.
Tom's back on. So let's digest a little bit. So this is that kit mic right over the bass drum. We're going to turn a few things off. Overheads, rack and floor. So this is literally just kick in, sub kick, snare top, snare bottom. Snare drum just naturally sounds really done. Sounds like it's got a little reverb, a little everything. Bleed is not terrible. I say it all the time, I got a distressor, very nice compressor, patched on the snare top mic because every part of you thinks you should compress that mic, but as you'll see, it's in bypass because every time I do it, I regret it. It's better to not compress on the way in, man. Listen to that snare drum. It's like, I don't need to add any hi-hat. I don't need to add any wash. The snare drum already sounds good. I'm probably going to compress it later. Don't compress the shit out of drums on the way in. Just don't do it. That snare drum with that head sounds really good, I think. Yep. So kick and snare, and then let's just solo up just our overheads and hear that kit. This is now the Kells. I've been using the Kells as the overheads lately. That's what that sounds like. I was just saying to these guys, there's the toms and the brightness of that kit and maybe some of that spring rattle that we're hearing. It all contributes. Like when I solo these overheads, it's too bad I don't have just like handy a clip of like the Ludwig kit in this session. But these overheads sound like they're in a bigger room than we're in because there's a lot of reflection coming off of those toms. Like Nick said, when he talks, he hears the toms reverberating his voice because they're pretty active. So even those overheads, like, it sounds like a much larger, it sounds like a room with some ambience. We're in a room with no ambience because we're in a control room. So that's pretty cool. It sounds good. Let's hear what this kit mic sounded like over the top. This just has a little bit of blue stripe compressor on it, and that's it when it goes into Pro Tools. That sounds great. That's that 441, just right over the center of the kick, pointed dead in. This is it, soloed, just turned up. It's like it gets the toms and everything, and then when you blend. So yeah, that's that 441 right over the top. Joe works for Sennheiser. I think we mentioned it on the show before. We were talking about mics the other day. I had no idea that those 441s that's $1,000 microphone now. I had no idea they were that much. Mine's an old one, and I got it for way less than that. So I'm stoked on that. What else? All right, so we'll blend in that 441. We'll start with nothing. We'll just blend it into the other close mics. Like I said, we didn't print a room mic or a hall mic. We're just kind of staying on close mics and talking about the drum set sound itself, but we hear that what that kit mic adds. And again, no plugins, no EQ other than the kick out or the sub kick. Just got a graphic EQ lopping off some high end. But we just printed these microphones straight through preamps, straight in. I checked the phase a couple days ago, so it was in phase-ish then. It's probably pretty close today too. So this is no kit mic. The kit mic's interesting. You turn it way up and you don't really notice it, but it's doing a lot. Like if I solo it, it's a pretty big piece of the sound, but it's just because it's in the center and because it's mono and it's so close to everything, it just blends right in there. It just reinforces everything. So, I mean, like right now I got it +4. I'll just toggle a mute switch. Right. It opens up the snare. It adds a little mid-range thwack to the bass drum. And when you do get to the toms, which is not really a lot in here, but it really reinforces the toms. And I know from a little bit of experience that if I take that mic and throw a channel strip on it and put a little bit more compression yet and really boost the bottom end, like the toms go insane in this mic and they sound really, really beefy. So, the old crotch mic or something right over the bass drum, whatever it is, it can be a very useful sound when it's in phase. And that's the only tricky thing. Trying different mics, you try some fancy condensers, you point them down, you point them in. You can run into some phase where you have an awesome snare drum and a horrible bass drum or vice versa, and getting both the kick drum and the snare drum to work in that mic can sometimes be a little finicky depending on the mic and the pattern of the mic. This 441 vintage Sennheiser that I have seems to be a really winner right now. Like I said, that's just got a little bit of light compression and very little EQ going into Pro Tools, and it sounds like you could use that as an entire section for sure. And then, we only got a couple tom hits, but let's just solo up these toms real quick, just because. They got that 70s thing, that mid-rangey thing. Pretty cool.
Sick.
Pretty cool. And I guess that's how you rehab a bunch of drums, huh, Nick?
Half a day later, and
Turn that mic on so you can hear Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple hours later and several $100s to Remo. And
It was free.
yeah, right. Thanks again to Remo for sending all the free drum heads today. Feel free to send them for the next episode we do with Nick. Michael Foster, as a Remo endorsee, I feel that it is your duty to make this happen immediately. The show clearly should be sponsored by
All you
Remo.
gotta do is take it on Instagram, and they'll send you like $1,000 a head.
It is true though. Like, so
Done?
I much like Nick. You know, when you grow up a drummer or a guitar player or whatever, you usually end up with some brand loyalties. Because you just pick a side. It's like Coke and Pepsi and Ford and Chevy or whatever. For a lot of years, it was Remo or Evans, Vic Firth or Promark, Zildjian or Sabian. You kind of picked your thing. I will say, and it's true, I've used a bunch of Evans heads. They're great. The quality control is great. They're very useful. Great product. But for whatever reason, I've just been born and raised like a Remo guy. Like I like Remo heads. So we put all Remo heads on the drums today. I know Nick's a Remo guy. It's just the way, it's like it becomes one of those brand loyalty things. Like I said, I choose to drink Coke, not Pepsi. I choose to buy Remo, not Evans.
Right.
I don't know why, but they're great. They're all good.
Well,
Everyone's
some
making a
cats
great
love-
product now.
Some cats love the Evans stuff, and that's what they hear. Because
Yeah.
all that shit's got like a mid-range bump to it, but that's usually what
Sure.
you're trying to lose.
Yeah, right. I just grew up, same thing. Like, I'm a Zildjian guy. Sabian makes a lot of great stuff. I just heard a set that Nick brought over a couple weeks ago that sounded great. I'm trying to weasel myself a set of them. That said, I'm a Zildjian guy. Like if I'm gonna go, usually if I'm gonna go out and buy a set of cymbals or go do a thing, they're gonna be Zildjian cymbals, just because it's again it's that brand loyalty. I grew up on those. That's what I like. I like the Remo. I like the Zildjian. I like the Gretsch. Happy to be in the Gretsch Club as of yesterday, and officially on the map today as an ambassador. I'll be happy to sign the endorsement paperwork with Gretsch as soon as they get that over to us as well. Just contact Joe with that.
I sent him the fax number.
Yeah, we'll tell
Perfect.
you. We'll tell you what sizes we need, and sooner the better on that. I could use those yesterday, so if you guys want to get going on those,
All his concert times.
right,
That's right.
right. If you guys want to get going on those, just go through Taylor Hawkins' old stuff and just send me some of his discarded
Leftovers.
kits. Right.
Man, he ain't even playing Gretchen that new shit right now.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. He's
That.
playing some Leedy shells now or something.
Don't tell anybody though.
Right, but don't tell anyone.
Wow, what are you talking about?
Taylor Hawkins. Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, man, that was great. That was a great drum day. For those who watched, who are drum nerds, who wanted to learn how to change heads or wanted to see a little bit more behind the curtain about what it takes to tune drums and kind of, the amount of time it takes for a guy who knows what he's doing. Don't feel bad if it takes you a while to get a drum to sound good or to sound in tune. It takes years to figure out how to kind of do it. And even Nick, who's really good at it, who's been doing it for a long time, will probably tell you there's a lot of guys out there way further along than him, and he probably feels like he only kind of knows what he's doing. So it's all relative, but
Well, and if we were gonna track a song right now, then we'd pull it all up, start playing in the song, be like, yeah, man, that floor tom's a little janky. Or,
right, it's rubbing with the root
Is that
note.
too high?
Right, we're gonna need to pitch them down because of the tune or change a snare drum. Right, it all does become song dependent, but you got to start somewhere. And there are just some great general tips as far as making sure the drum head's on in the center and just the little things that if you take the extra minute to make sure they're right or know the difference between a subtle move that will make something a little more square versus just throwing it on there and start cranking down this lug and then move to the next one. And, before you know that stuff, you just don't know that stuff. So hopefully you picked up a new thing today. Good luck tuning up your drums.
I picked up a bunch.
Right.
Thanks to Nick.
Joe's going to go home and tune up his Questlove kit.
Can't wait, dude.
See what he can get it doing.
Sunlight, man. He hasn't graduated.
No, he's got it. I sold him the Questlove.
Oh.
Remember I had one for a
Fucker,
while?
I'll be the guy that
Yeah,
buys it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Little
I-
DW snare
How's
on
your,
it. It's
how's your
alright.
floor tom for the bass drum?
It's
Is that
alright.
nice?
It's the same thing, man. Yeah, exactly. We were talking about that earlier.
Ported.
I love that.
It's
I love that.
Ported for Joe's pleasure.
Yep. Custom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that, I don't know. That was a pretty sizable snack Saturday. Joe was like, I don't know. If we don't go 2 hours, we don't. It's now been 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Well, yeah.
So I think it's probably time to call her a day on this. And also, our drums are wrapped up and sounding good. And like I said,
We did what we came here to do.
yeah, me and Nick have been talking about doing this for a while. Today was the day. I went out of my way to go buy a whole new drum set just to make sure we had a good episode on our hands. It was nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with me or the want to buy the drum set. It was purely for the show and for you fans out there.
Well, now it's a tax write-off.
And now it's a tax write-off. And
We're actually returning them after.
it's amazing that it's already led to not only a Gretsch but a Remo endorsement just based on the things I've said alone.
And is Joe or Nick taking this home for 4,500?
Nick said he's taking it for
No,
52.
I just worked that shit off. It's now mine.
There's still a bidding war going on.
Dick.
That's right.
45, 45, 47, 47, 50, 47, 48, now 48.
I'll give Tap 50 bucks because he helped move the pillow around.
That's true. I need that pillow. You have to throw that in.
Included. It's just going to stay in there.
That pillow makes a big difference.
Oh, shit.
Jeez.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
It's cool hearing that under a mic because I could tell in person and
Right, to get a little
sound and in
confirmation.
playing, but
Right. Get a little confirmation back.
It's another 10% of low end.
It
on
does.
this end.
It really does do something. It really adds some punch and some low end. Focused it. I don't know. It sounded like I'm doing a user review that's paid for, but it's true, man.
Well,
The proof's
Will
in the
be
pudding.
paid for when they send the check.
Right. Thank you, Kick Pro, for the 3 Kick Pros you're about to send over to the studio.
and the crazy thing is that
Is that how you get endorsements? You just start pre-thanking
We
them?
just tell them that we have them.
Guys, thank you so much for that custom embroidered What's That Noise Kick Pro. Oh man, but yeah, no, that thing's awesome. I'm like I said, I'm a believer. I heard the thing for 3 seconds. We did the A and B. We all can hear it here. I'm assuming if you're listening on either good headphones or studio monitors or something decent, I'm assuming you can hear it through Facebook or YouTube. I don't know for sure, but it's very noticeable here. It's not a small difference. It sounds like something drastic changed in the bass drum, and it's for the better. So. That thing's cool. Gonna probably have to order one of those. Add it to the list. This kit's already costing me too much money. Now I gotta buy new hoops. I gotta buy a Kick Pro. Oh no, they're gonna send that custom embroidered one.
Couple. They said
I
3.
think you got to pay the 10% upcharge.
Gretsch.
Just the
We need that. We need those natural Gretsch hoops. So Gretsch, feel free to get those in the mail. We'll get you hooked up with an address on those. Make it real easy for you. Other than that, I think we've finally officially hit rambling bullshit mode. Am I right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Whose turn is it?
Yours.
It's my turn to tell him?
Maybe Nick. Nick's
Nick's
got to get in here.
You got to get on a mic then. If you know what to tell him, go on either my mic or Joe's mic.
Because
Because it's time to keep it tight.